You love the drama.
And we're live. Hello and welcome to Quant Gang, episode 52. Not yet a year in. I think we did a couple extra episodes here and there, but we've got a great show for you today. Hit the like and subscribe button. And I wanted to show you guys this amazing opportunity that I got in the mail today. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a whole 0.5% APY. It's super high APY. So
yo, you better go all in, man.
my
DeLorean,
name
bro.
would suggest that. Yeah. So welcome to Quant Gang, everybody. And we're going to get started here in just a second.
Bang, bang. Blessed to be
This is from Maddie Allen of Hex Therapy Live. After Richard's done with stream, I hope it's still hours away. The new Hex Quant and I will go live to show off a new chart for Hex USD price appreciation with staked interest factored in.
So Karim just gave an epic monologue in the Twitter Spaces, which is now setting a record for the longest Twitter Spaces. It's being held by Hex Orca and J Future and many other contributors. We are so excited for this world record being set by Hexicans, and from everything I've heard and listening to, it's just been an incredible community building exercise. Is that what you guys have seen?
Hell yeah, man. Orca, shout out to you and the people running it, man. Phenomenal work. Like every single day, this thing is just more and more people. It's getting longer and longer. And I think the most important thing is the topics that's been talked about. It's just been phenomenal, and everybody has their own inputs, and it's great. So kudos to you guys. Phenomenal, man. And Karim, next time, say some secrets for this show, bro. You're just throwing everything out there, bro.
Abundance mindset. There's always more to come. But yeah, definitely shout out to them and thanks for the invite. And it's funny because I was just doing some support and then I just plugged in, listening, and then they invited me to speak. So I was like, first started by, answering questions, take your app and stuff. And you know me, when I go. I just can't hold back because I love people. And like I was just telling them, some of them might, come over here, but it's important that as you're trying to live your best life, that you stay true to what you stand for, right? The person you think you are, the person your peer thinks you are, or close family, friends, if you can make that person be the same, that's the ultimate best way for you to live your best life and be authentic. Because once you get to that point, when you speak, people listen because you're not out there to get them. You just genuinely want to help and provide value. So that's why it's great.
Well, you provided some value when you told Richard to get on Twitter Spaces more often at the Hex conference, and that, and the community definitely ran with that. And, I think a lot of people had the same idea, but that's another way the Hex conference brought people together and, got to showcase where people's minds are at and put it on the record so we can go back in 15 years and check the receipts.
Always the receipts. The Quant Gang does. Because the funny analogy there was, people, again, don't assume because you have 100,000 subscriber here, 100,000 subscriber there or more. That doesn't mean they are the same people. Mm-hmm. And be able to do more of that. You never know who's listening, who you can attract. And it's the best way, kind of how we say, kill it with kindness in a way. We're not bots. We're real. You can hear our voice. We're in the spaces. And you can get your quote unquote tough questions answered, but realize what actually we stand for. And then a lot of the people, you get the aha moment. Oh, wow, I thought it was this, or I've heard about this, but now here's the truth. You're getting from the source. So, and like Richard said it best, we're not going anywhere. So
I think one of the coolest things about that was, I think it was yesterday or the day before, hidden in the chats, hiding, was Charles, the founder of Cardano. He was there.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, he was there. I was like, was like, oh shit, this guy's there. You know, how cool
Billionaire
is that, right?
lurker.
That's cool. That, you know, I
Well,
respect
valid
that
for everybody.
because he didn't have to be there, and you know, he was there just listening. You never know. I think that was pretty cool of him.
It is, because you know, even at that level, right? Maybe there is no, like, how to put it in an easy way. Sometimes extra animosity is just not needed. So, like, you heard stuff coming here from the source, from the truth. So when we will be able to see, because sometimes it's the best way, instead of like, oh, I heard this, I heard that. Well, did you find out for yourself? You get what I'm saying? I always go that approach. Even sometimes if I know it's bad and I go there, but then I find out for myself. And if it's still bad, at least I can put some closure to it and be like, what? I went there. I did my due diligence, right? I didn't just like, oh, assume and took people's word for it. I went there and I checked.
What'd you think of Wave 3?
Yeah, so I would say, you know, for anybody that's perhaps not specifically involved in, at least at this point in time, if they're still just getting involved with the Hex or Pulse community, you know, that's to me, it's like a huge, massive, respectable point, like on the communities, is how active and engaged the communities are, because you don't see that. That's pretty rare where you, let alone see that level of engagement in a Twitter space, but then also extended for that long period of time, because that does start to get more attention. It's hard. I would say it's got to be really hard not to see at this point, like, the level of engagement across the Hex and Pulse communities on crypto Twitter. Like, all the engagement metrics are really high. You could even compare it with the amount of hashtags. Like, it's higher comparatively relative to like, if you consider the bracket outside of like Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's the rate of growth it's pretty insane if you consider just the amount of metrics on social media. So for me, it's hard. It's the community is very, very vocal. They're very good at engaging with peers on crypto Twitter. So it's only a positive. So yeah, definitely a huge shout out to Hex Orca. Job well done. Good job. That was awesome. And I did see the that Twitter live spaces. Every time I went on Twitter, it was at the top of the Twitter feed, and usually somebody else in the community retweeting it, which was really cool.
Yeah, the damn thing keeps on freezing my phone, man. It's too much people, man.
We get kicked out, but guess what? We're not going away. We'll come back in. I think I got kicked out like 3-4 times, even while I was speaking, but I was just like, hey, we're going back in. Because it's important. And this is what you can, quote unquote, show the market or show the people, like, we're real as it gets. And again, we're not going anywhere, but we'll also do it with a compassion where it's like, it's okay for you not to know at first. It's okay for you to be skeptical. Yeah. It's okay to, oh, but I heard this and I heard that. That's fine. Come, ask your question. We're not going nowhere. What's not okay for you is not to try, not to reach out or make assumption on things that you don't fully understand. And you never even let the people the chance to explain. Like, imagine if somebody did that to you, you know, just assume stuff. Like, you wouldn't like it. So it's the same thing. And I think that's how we're to keep propagating truth, wellness, what we actually stand for beyond the crypto. That's also what I like to do in my talk. You know, after answering those questions, we went a little bit beyond, like, do you understand why we do, the mindset, the investment, the discipline, and ultimately the person you're becoming, you know. And I made a promise. I asked Maddie here on stream if he wanted to join one of the spaces. They said they reach out to you for they want to do like a segment with therapy and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, they want you on, bro.
Right.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I told them you stream every Thursday for that, so that'll be great.
And they really want you on. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I would love to. And that's, you know, the voice only thing, it's caught on, you know, as a podcasting format, but also being live. And when we look at what is it that the Twitter algorithm is really looking at to push that out to new people, for people to be attracted to it, well, it's new. The Twitter Spaces it's also what they're looking at is who are the speakers. And so you'll see, if you follow somebody who is a speaker, it will prioritize the order, because you can preview like 3 of the people who are in the space, and it's more likely to show you people who are being speakers. And so the more people who can take turns in there, and really the more people who can be in the room at any time, you know, for a lot of people, they might end up like liking to be listening for hours while they're doing other things. You know, and so to have such a large live audience, you know, when Richard is going on, there's 1,000 or 1,500 people, I think, or more. And there's like 120 to 160 or 200 that are like continuously, continuous viewers on there. And so it is really exciting to see that audience. But I'd be so curious to see what the total number of people that have come across it is, if even like the founder of ADA, Charles Hoskinson, and like, you know, there have been a lot of people in there with check marks on their names, and that matters, that they tapped on that and that they started listening. Maybe they get convinced and maybe they don't in that moment, but it's elevating the number of touches that they have with Hex, the awareness, and it's really going to punch harder on these other coins that we'll talk about today in terms of Pulse X, particularly was what I wanted to do with the title of the show today being, is it too late? But then if you guys want, you know, we can talk about whether it's too late for Hex or too late for Pulse.
We have so much good content on that. But Maddie, I think you touched again on something that's so important that I want people to never miss. Like, you will be so again, we are on tour right now. We're in Houston and it's great. And I keep seeing this every single time, not taking anything for granted. You underestimate how many people don't know not only about Hex, crypto in general, but how it's also easily tied up to the real world. Like, for some of them, some people either think we're crazy, some people don't even know we exist, some people just think like it's just a bunch of gamblers out there. Like, they never get to that, oh wow, real people out here. Like, all the meetings and events that I've always get that, oh, I never thought it was that deep. I never thought da. And Twitter has that too. There's millions of people that are on Twitter that don't even do crypto, that just happens to just be there. And then when you have those high quality conversation, they end up being like, so what is it that you guys actually do? And then let me research this thing, and boom, oh wow, it's a great community. Oh wow, I've been looking for something like that. So always outbound messaging. And if you can't be, you know, quote unquote on the field or traveling, this is one of the best way, just being there, because you never know who's gonna come. Oh, hello, Megan. I know
she's smart, man. She knows her stuff.
Again, she has a great YouTube channel. Everybody should follow her. Great about mindset. Because again, you never know. She's a perfect example. Like, oh, what do you guys do? Boom. Real estate. We can relate that t-shirt too. But ultimately, who are you becoming? Who are you as a person? What's your mindset? How you treat others? And what are we here to ultimately do? And that's why, to me, is the core value of why I'm so blessed to stay 15 years, because that core pure value is not going away. If anything, is getting stronger every single day. And we want to keep reaching out. And we are winning. Look at the stats. Look at, you know, my favorite stat. Look, it's not mine, it's Richard's. Still averaging 1,000 plus every day, moving fast to a point where we won't even need some of those gatekeeper influencers, you know what I mean? Especially in the crypto space. Because once you cross 200,000-300,000, which is literally, he's on his way, it's over. And by the way, no ads. Let's not forget. I mean, God, people, not to call out names, there's people out there that are buying ads, man. They're buying viewers. We don't. There's not a single ad.
Right.
Or organic as it gets.
Yeah. Yep. That's actually a great point, and a good way for somebody to gauge how honest somebody has. Let's say they're even just their following count on Twitter is you can actually just do a ratio of how much engagement they get relative to the number of followers that they have, and you can see there's a ton of spoofing when it comes to crypto Twitter in general, but everything in the Hex community is 100% honest. Like, the numbers are absurd when you look at how many retweets, things like that get relative to because the reason for that is because whoever on crypto Twitter, whoever's following a certain Hexican or Pulsican, those are actual, like, that's all legit. Those are actually real people that are following. You know, so it's a very active community. It's very truthful. The numbers are, and that's what I mean is, like, the numbers are extremely high when you compare it to the engagement relative to other communities in crypto Twitter. The only two that really seem to have higher numbers on crypto Twitter are communities like Bitcoin and Ethereum, but those communities have been around for, you know, 6+ years. But if you just did a relative comparison, so it's going to get there. It's getting there a lot faster in this community specifically.
because we're converting at a higher ratio at an accelerated pace. And then you can wake up literally, I believe this, by the end of the year, and it's just like we can become the biggest out there. Because again, the core value are the same, but we're just keeping it real 100%. And we're actually there to help people step by step along the way. It's not, again, abundance mindset, right? Not like, hey, screw you, only focus on me. Instead of like, hey, I got mine. Let me help you if you want. Let me help you how you can get yours too. Let me show you what we do. And like Richard's quote on the video that, you know, Abbott's plays all the time during the workshop, you know, his life story. I love the end. It's literally kind of like ultimate game theory. The more people we can help becoming financially free, we'll all live a better life.
Yeah.
We're less stressful. We're not at each other's throat. We can create more things. You can touch your spiritual side in terms of becoming more creative. And maybe you're going to build something useful for the world that some of us are going to benefit from. And then longevity too. So it's literally the ultimate game theory, right?
Yeah.
My mom used to say, remove yourself from the list of the people that need to be helped first. Take care of that. And then help others, right? Like on an airplane, you put on the mask, then you put on the baby or whoever, and then you help out. So if everybody do that, and then we do that at a faster pace, we become unstoppable.
There's one thing I love about this community, and like you guys said, is the honesty, right? You have each other that keeps each other honest. You have the T-share rate, you have T-shares, you have Etherscan, you have a lot of things that keeps us, you know, to us to stick to our word, you know. And not only that, but the previous conference goes to show you, like a year apart, people was at this, they made tons of money, they're here, but they spoke the same language, they moved the same, they acted the same. And I think that was one of the best things I loved about it. It just shows you that even though, you know, as a community, we are getting more wealthier, richer, but we are getting smarter and we're learning along the way. So that's why I'm here, man. I love it. And Maddie, by the way, for you and Brandon, phenomenal segment you guys had. I loved it. The whole conversation you guys had, Ragged Riches. So yeah, that was pretty dope. I think it's important because I do have some friends that, you know, they suffer from addiction and stuff like that. And, you know, I send them the link. I'm like, hey, maybe you should watch this. So phenomenal. That was
That's great.
really cool.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm gonna stream it on this channel tomorrow. Just to get it out there some more. But I really enjoyed speaking to him, and he's had some excellent interviews this week as well.
Yeah, like Brandon's funny, right? So he can look silly, he can make jokes and all that stuff, but the guy is wise, man. He knows his shit. You know, excuse my language. He knows his stuff, man. Like, of course, everybody around here knows their stuff, but he knows his stuff, you know. So kudos to you, man.
That's another great thing about the community. That's great. Like the wealth of knowledge. Like I feel like we can kind of solve almost anything in the world because we have a well versatile type of people of all walks of life, different type of skills. You just need to tap into that and connect, because we have a great support system that actually works, because the core value is pure. This is why it had to be done the way it's been done, and all the struggles, not again buying views or this or that, because God forbid you do good, but then your core is tainted. People could always try to use that and be like, yeah, but he wasn't always like this or da. Like, no, but when he was pure from the get-go, like people still don't fully understand. That's why I'm so grateful to Richard. Like the amount of content that he provides for free, the knowledge, just watching, we're all becoming smarter. You know what I mean? Even those of us who are kind of smart, we still become smart. It only goes up. Like the value is increasing. You're becoming wealthier, but also you're learning about the core value, what it is to help your fellow man. So some of us that was already on that path, we naturally get attracted. Some of us who didn't get to that path, but they say, oh, that sounds interesting, I need to look into that. Then they come in and then they fall in love with that as well. And then fast forward to today, that's why you see a lot of Hexicans do a lot of selfless act, because somebody did that for them, right?
Yes.
And I talk about all the time, and I tell Maddie, I don't seek money from those people. I can make my own investment. All I ask is, hey, do that for somebody else. Spread the love. It will be a shame if it just dies with you. Take it upon yourself. Find it in your heart. Remember, it's not about you. Don't take it personal. Even if they say no 9 times, just try again. Try a different way. Don't shove it down their throat. Just trying to help. Because ultimately, once it clicks and they get it, they'll come back and they even apologize about how bad they're treating you before. And you realize, you know what? Even through the struggle, it was still worth it.
Yeah.
And I would do it again.
Sometimes people have different roadblocks, you know. It could be 3 months in a row and they could tell you, no, my situation, my finance, the world around me is crumbling. But that 4th, 5th month, you never know, something magically happens. And now they're able to invest in this and stuff like that. So yeah, don't give up, guys. Tell family, friends, break it easy to them, step by step. But it's not too late. It's definitely not too late. So don't give up on them.
Baby steps.
We got a question here from Pulsicano. What's the Hex
that's a good
conference
one.
ticket count, Maddie? Did we sell out yet? Okay, here's the deal. I thought I was pretty clear that like everybody needs to buy a ticket, but now I'm like a little bit stressed because I think a lot of people spoke at the online conference, and that gives you a spot to speak at the in-person conference.
That's dope.
However, the room only holds 600. And so really, if none of the speakers have bought tickets yet, then we're pretty much out of tickets. So please, like, maybe hold on. Like, if you really want to go, get a ticket now. If not, like, just don't. And then,
So you're saying that we're basically on the sold out?
get tickets. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're getting really close there, and I'm really excited.
It's gonna be epic.
We're gonna have a lot of beers. Let's go.
Oh my god!
If you get to be there, Hexican, I have a surprise for you. I'm gonna leave it at that. But yeah, again, it'll be
for everyone.
Last year was epic, and this year we're gonna be doing even better because now it's 600 plus. And again, we're there for like at least 4 or 5 days. Some of that's maybe a week. So there's so many other stuff we're gonna be able to do as well. And like I've said in my talk at the conference online, don't underestimate the value of the melting pot, just brains being together. Again, the Kryptosparbach show started in Vegas. People don't understand. That's how they got the inspiration. They're already going to travel, but you know what? I love it so much. I met the people, I met the community. I'm just paraphrasing from A-Bit. But then they got inspired and said, you know what, we want to do? We want to do a nationwide tour. Like, you underestimate amount of value ideas that's going to come out of this conference. And I'm looking forward to meet new Hexicans too, because like I said, pulse chain onboarding. And then once we get a fee-less almost transaction, we're going worldwide. Like, that's my goal. And I'm looking for people that want to travel and that want to basically come and spread the word. So having like that top Hexicans, kind of like a test. Do you care enough that you want to fly there, meet the people face to face? Because again, it's not for everybody. I get it. Some people just want to earn their yield and live their own life, and that's fine. But for those who want, well, I'm most likely to talk to those people and ride with them so we can go worldwide. So that's what I'm very excited about the conference, besides missing my co-Hexicans. But it's the fact that the ideas, the brainstorming, and things that we can do, just like we had last year.
Yeah. And if you guys have not, for anybody that still hasn't gotten a ticket yet, there's time. This isn't really the time to sort of, dilly-dally back and forth, because the tickets they will sell out. Like if you look at the ticket count since the last stream, like over 2/3 of the tickets have sold for a given ticket for the event. So it's one of those things where you have the opportunity to do it. Go do it right now if you haven't already. Get the ticket out of the way. Otherwise, you're gonna miss basically. You're going to miss basically these core events at sort of the stage where you get to see the community really growing, and that's coming. It's fantastic because a year from now the events will only get bigger. It's only going to keep increasing in size, but being able to experience it at a more grassroots stage is really powerful. So there's not many opportunities you get to experience that, see that, talk to a lot of fellow peers that share a lot of the same ideas. So if you haven't done so already, do order the ticket, and then you're going to be set up to meet a lot of cool people at the event.
Yes, absolutely. I realize it's kind of strange to like ask speakers to pay, but at the same time, we're dealing with like almost everybody who streams in Hex, like that is an OG that, let's say, like spoke at the first Hex conference and the second one, are millionaires. And so what I did is I made the ticket cost the least amount possible, $369 for 4 full days of conference in a beautiful conference center. Like, lunch is provided for free to like 2 out of 3 people, basically, is like what the ratio looks like. So people can still go off and do their own thing and be in their small groups. But yeah, it's really exciting to be able to provide something, because I do believe that we are early. You know, the title of this episode is "Are We Late?" And like, I believe that we're so early that I didn't want to charge, you know, like the person who's coming to the conference an extra $50 so that the speakers, you know, would get in for free and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
And
just,
Manny, regardless, I think it should always be paid regardless. Why? Because again, validity. We are just community members, just like everybody else. At the end of the day, it is a community event. Everybody gets to chip in. It's grassroots. It's funded by the community, period. And this is our event to say, hey, I might have done a little bit better, whatever, got early, whatever. But the point in the matter is, I'm just like you. I'm a community member, and I'm here to add value. So I'm coming in as a gathering, and it's great because people get to see there's no favoritism. There's no, hey, he gets free here, this and that. You know, like you famously used to talk about some of those crazy Bitcoin event. People pay thousands of dollars. The reason why it's that expensive is they're choosing fancy venues, and those people don't pay, and everybody else that comes in pay for the party. Think about it. It's insane. And they get the least amount of value at the end, and they don't even have much left to even invest. It blows my mind. When it's like, no, we'll make it fair for everybody. It's not going to be free. No free ride. And obviously we can afford it. But the point of the matter is we like to contribute just like everybody else because it's our community. We all chip in. It's grassroots. There's no VC funding.
I've already worked out the math. There's not going to be any profit from this. It's on track to break even. So even if, you know, even when all the tickets sell, so there's 10 more tickets now that are probably on sale for another hour or two that are $369. And then I marked off like the last round of tickets to be 555 just because it seems like we're going to run out early. So go ahead and get it now at hexticket.com and be part of history. And I'm excited.
And you might invite to some other cool events.
Oh yeah. So the conference is going from like 9 to 5.
Yeah, you go.
And then people will be able to plan their own activities. We may have some suggestions or have like a way to communicate out to everybody what's being planned. But as a true enough decentralized community, you know, like we are excited that there's going to be many conferences like throughout the year. There are going to be many meetups. There are going to be things that are happening like right before the 4 days that we have in March 6th through 9th in Las Vegas. Like I heard Kryptosparbach talking about, they're going to be there 1 week early, and they're going to plan to do, you know, some final stuff with their workshops and everything. So that's cool. Something to look forward to.
Yeah, like and then Naga also has his party the day after. I think it's the 10th.
Yes.
He has an event as well. So again, it's going to be a lot of great stuff. And you come for the main event, but like Maddie was saying, we have other activities. And who do you think we're going to hang out with, right? If not Hexicans, just like we did, you know, last time. You know, invited people to come and, you know, enjoy some nice party time too. Because why the hell not? You know what I mean? You can enjoy with the people that are in the community to kind of get a taste of, once you delay your gratification, you can be here too, because we're very welcoming for that. I always say this all the time. All you got to do is come with your ID and a good attitude. That's my true requirement.
Yeah, like Wave 3 said earlier, like it's only going to get bigger over the years, right? So the tickets are cheap. You know, the crowd is a decent sized crowd. This is a chance to, if you want to meet people in person and actually get to shake their hands and have dinner with them and talk about whatever you want, this is your chance, because the next year or two, you don't know what there's going to be. And you don't want to be like, damn, you know, I could have had that conversation with that person in person, you know, and stuff like that. So get it, guys.
And whatever last question you may have, you get to ask that too. You know, I know some people are skeptics. Oh, I need to meet people face to face. I get it. Well, here's your chance.
Yeah, exactly. So don't miss it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great topic to end. And we can go into some Quan Gang stuff, right? Oh man, there's so much to talk about. But Maddie, which one you want to start with? I'll let you pick.
Look at that freaking, oh my God.
I got 3 tabs here to go through about Pulse X sacrifice. So what are we up to? Almost $1 billion.
Well,
flying by night.
Technically, I think we passed it, no?
We passed $1 billion all combined.
Yeah, all combined.
This is just the Ethereum one. Because I think based on last number that I heard from Richard was about somewhere around 50 million BSC, right? And just that kind of 4 million, 4 million, like the Chainlink guy, 3 million, the Cardano, and then there's a bunch of DAI as well, stablecoin. I mean, people can just go look at the wallet. I mean, it's that's the beauty of blockchain. It's literally just there, but it's just amazing. It just keeps going up.
It's impressive that, you know, people have this much faith and, you know, in his products and his projects, and $1 billion, right? Like natural organic money flowing because people really want to be, you know, heard and be part of something unique. Like not many people is capable of doing something like this, right? So this is cool, man. Like that's a
That's
lot
what
of money.
happens when you tell the truth. I know, shocking, right?
Like
And
that's
let's
a lot
not
of money,
forget, like
man.
we've been saying, the bear market is here, people. This ain't no joke. And you get to protect. Think about it. The sacrifice actually protects your entry point and your value because it gets locked in and you'll get those points. Imagine, right? You sacrifice Bitcoin or whatever, or Ethereum when it was 3,500, 3,600, or Bitcoin when you had that first spike 4,500 before the mega red came in again. And who knows what it's going to be by the end of the month. I mean, I talked about it last week. Richard even doubled down on it. The negative Bitcoin premium. We can go over that. It made another all-time low. All-time low. As the price is going down, it gets even worse. Negative 23%. It's insane.
Yeah. Karim and Richard are both right on with the concerns on the premium, because that's just for Bitcoin. There's other grayscale products too, also for cryptocurrency, that are trading at a minus 40% premium. So like it's to levels of insanity. So it just puts in perspective, because if you just look at the price chart for GBTC, which is grayscale Bitcoin, it's basically breaking down. And the problem is, like, when you have bounces in the market, they're very risky, because usually people they'll think it's going back into like a bull market. They'll buy the bounce and then get crushed for another wave down. Like, bear markets are brutal in crypto for anybody that's trying to guess like when there's going to be a return to a bull phase. So it's the numbers don't lie. The premiums are, to me, extremely concerning, because like the question, why buy spot Bitcoin when you can get a 30% discount with GBTC, and even that that supply is still just floating around right now. So 2022 can be a tough year for most cryptocurrency.
Look at this insanity, right? This is funny because, again, this is Quan Game. Maddie, I'm going to share the screen. We need to show this because, again, I don't want to assume anything. We may have some new people here in the chat that don't even know what we're talking about, because they need to see this. He made a new all-time low just today, negative 27.
So we're talking about the premium, but that's perfectly fine. But I wanted to close out this topic on, are we too late for Pulse X? So maybe we can go around the room and people can say, would you still invest, or what are the circumstances? We've got the data pull up here that compares like the bonding curve between Pulse X and Pulse Chain. This is 2 or 3 days old here, but still it's giving us the basic idea that since Pulse Chain started its bonding curve, it's been 180 days. They are increasing both 5% compounded per day, and that makes the multiplier compared to day one for Pulse Chain now up to 6,517, or a price of 65 cents per pulse point. Yeah,
Pulse Chain.
Which is insane, because it used to be like 10,000. And then for you, Manny, on the other side, I can just give it to you right now. Quick math, because we did about, since the bonding curve started on the 11, we're about 63%. So the compounding effect, like I talked about last week, is you're getting into that range right now when, some of the wells might wait until the thing kind of like double in terms of cost, when people start getting 5,000 or less. And then I predict, again, that's when the price will start to trend back up, because right now it has to be in that range, because obviously you got the wells that already sacrificed. I don't want to let the price go too high above their sacrifice, but they also don't want to let it go too low, because if it goes too low, somebody with a lot of money can come in, pump the price 30-some%, and then sacrifice to negate those negative compounding. So you're looking at this range that I showed last week. It's from 25 cents to about 18 cents ish. I don't think we're going to make a new low, but look at it like a buying opportunity, because people need to realize when the price is 25 cents, there's only so much hex you can buy. When the price is what it is now, and let's say you have fresh fiat, as you should, right? True accumulation never end, blah, blah, blah. Stay working, add capital. Catching those dips is very powerful, because your entry point is literally you catch a dip and then the price move 5%, 8%, whatever. That's an extra 5-8% you didn't have. So you compensate for like 1 or 2 days. So my answer, Maddie, to answer your question is, it's definitely a no-brainer. You should sacrifice still if you still got ammo, the Pulse X, not Pulse Chain, because that one is way worse. And like we've talked about also last week, once it launched, you can sacrifice some of that Pulse or swap some of that Pulse X back to Pulse Chain. So in other words, you're using Pulse X as your on-ramp to get more points, so you can then swap for Pulse Chain. So you get to use that like a lever.
Yeah, my answer to folks that ask me this and they're like, "Do you think it's too late?" Stuff like that. It's very simple, right? Is the price cheaper than a cup of coffee, right? I'm not talking about Starbucks coffee. I'm talking about like bodega type of coffee, right?
Yep.
If it's cheaper, buy. It's very simple, right? Is that cheap? It's still worth it, Even if you had a certain penalty, it doesn't matter. Like, think about the long gains and stuff like that. Now, this thing is the multiplier is much higher and stuff like that. Then yeah, maybe you want to slow it down, but I think we're still early. I think maybe even another week, I think it's still fine to do it.
Yeah,
so
super early.
it's all about their goals, honestly.
Right.
But honestly, like, think about it. Skip, I don't know, skip a coffee, whatever. That's almost 10,000 points right there, right? Like, guys, you never know.
And let me give you another good joke,
Yeah.
because I like to put into perspective for people. Imagine you get involved in like a Coinbase IPO, which I call it a joke because most of those IPO, even stock market, we were never fucking invited. We were always getting the 10,000 worst rate. Once you realize, and once I've learned how this thing actually works, like those people get like, Maddie, I'm talking about like 5 zeros before one, like 0.00000, and that's their cost basis per share. And then they get listed on the stock market. Oh, look, it's cheap, guys. It's only 10 cents. It's only $1. Da, 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 da. But you don't know how low those people got it in as, in a secret room, backdoor deal, blah, blah, blah. Like where we are now, oh my God, it's like you're part of those things. So again, always put it in perspective, because there's going to be people, sadly, believe it or not, that are not going to get the whole sacrifice phase. They're going to buy Pulse Chain and Pulse X way after the launch.
Yeah.
Getting the worst rate, getting possibly there's going to be a pump. They might get another 2-3x worse rate because the demand's going to keep coming in. So look at it and put it in perspective how fortunate you are. It's the same way I look at Hex. The price doesn't matter. Nobody does. It's a product, not a project. The yield. Maddie showed you earlier in the stream, the joke. He got something in the mail, 0.5%. That's garbage. Instead of putting your money there, you can buy at current prices, literally get up to 40% APY. The price can go down 20%. You're still winning. That's how insane it is. Better than the money had just stayed at your bank and you would have get garbage rate. Garbage.
Yeah,
so
what's crazy
always
is that
put things in perspective compared to what? You got never invited to an IPO before in your life.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. Even accredited investor, $1 million or two or whatever more, they don't even get invited to all because it's literally super secret. Like, they don't like you. You can have money. They just don't. This is blockchain. You got a wallet. You can get involved. Decentralized.
And even people that end up, let's say, buying Pulse or Pulse Chain or Pulse X after the sacrifice stage, after the dips and stuff like that, you can remember, guys, you're gonna have millions and thousands of people still buying at those rates, and you never know what these prices will end up going. So for them, it could seem like even a great deal, right? But imagine getting it now. Like, come on, it's like it's a no-brainer,
Yeah.
And so don't wait. Definitely don't wait.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. As Marco said, no brainer to do so. So just look at what Hex did on the price chart. Pulse Chain, I mean, we're well into the, I wouldn't do obviously Pulse Chain now because of the bonding curve, but Pulse X, it's still very early. So as Marco mentioned, it's a no brainer. And if you are sacrificing, I mean, I would just do it with the intention that you're just going to hold on to the coins for basically 2 to 3 years. That's like, if you just look at across the the price charts in crypto, generally 2 to 3 years is when you've had at least a significant move relative to what the baseline is when it begins first trading on a decentralized exchange, which will be PulseX for Pulse Chain. So these opportunities don't come again. Like, these really don't come often, and to get in at the ground floor is truly like you're just not going to get that anywhere
This is the
else.
best part, right? You're able to get in now with no middleman. You don't have to ask for permission. You don't have to put it in a bank. You don't have to do any of this stuff. There's no commitment where you have to keep it for 2-3 years, like some of these IPOs and stuff behind the door deals. You're in full control, right? So they make your own decision. Think about the future for yourself. Grab pen and paper. Don't do everything up here, and get to work. Because this will definitely be life-changing type of investment, and it is an investment in yourself and to your family, your friends. So don't miss out, guys. Really don't. It's not financial advice, but don't miss out.
And here's the ultimate message. I always bring it back to wisdom, which is key, right? And that's what we say. It literally is mathematical advice. The ultimate people are going to win. Who are going to win are going to be the ones that are going to be able to hold for at least 2 year plus. Let me say it again. The ultimate people that are going to win are going to be the one that can hold, again, 1.5 2 year plus. Why is that? Because the true gains over time, thanks to dedication and action, when we're talking about 1,000x, 10,000x, and the bounce are probably happening in, under 2 years or 2.5 years or whatever it might be. That's the real gain you're trying to capture. And that's before your delegation reward, if you're talking Pulse Chain, or the value of, maybe if you do liquidity providing with your PulseX, maybe with some Pulse Chain, just to get that other token that hasn't even been named yet. So we're just talking about price appreciation. So somebody could be day one sacrificer. Somebody could be day whatever we are now, which is only what? 60, you went up 63%. So it's like, it's not even 1x different. And then that person that came quote unquote late, which is a joke, holds, and the other person does not, he or she's going to make more money than the day one guy. The same way we have some people in Hex that were day one, whatever. What did they do? They sold, right? Too early. And then they got washed out. That's the ultimate wisdom. It's not really about how early or late you are in the sacrifice, because you still get amazing rates.
Yeah.
It's how long can you hold? That's the key. Don't sleep on that. Oh, I'm day one. I got 10,000 points. Yeah, but what are you going to do? Because you missed 1x move, 2x move, 3x move. It's like you make less money than somebody that came literally 2 weeks after you. Literally. 63% is not even 1x yet. You have to wait another 5 days-ish at a compounding rate for us to be above 100, like before we crack below 5,000 points for every $1 pulse, which means it's just a 1x difference. Somebody getting a 2x versus somebody getting a 3x. So if that quote unquote late person holds longer than you and you sell, you're an early guy, you sell, and then the price goes up 5x, 10x, he or she make more money than you. So that's why I want to remind everybody, quick maths. It's not so much about how early you get in, because we're still very early. It's how long can you hold. That's really is going to determine whether or not you're going to have the mad gains. The shenanigans will happen. The question is, are you going to resist the temptation, or are you just going to become a statistics?
It's perfect that you said it that way, right? Because I don't know if you guys remember the person, I'm not sure if it was like Silver the Antidote that mentioned that person that was so early, they had about like 400 million hacks or something like that, and now they only have, I don't know, $15 worth only or something like that, like some stupid number. Like, this is somebody who got in early, got a huge bag, and over time sold it beyond early before Hex even got to like explode. Don't be that person, because I don't know what that person is now, because every night I'll be crying myself to sleep. I'll tell you that much, to see where it's at. So, don't be that person that, you get the golden goose and, you killed it the next morning for some eggs, don't be stupid,
Yeah. Yep. That's another good point, because I think was Maddie about to mention something.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these things, right? Like they do many X's, even if they don't have good game theory, even if they're just duct taping on BS tokenomics, like even if they have founders that are cashing out, even if they pay exchanges to list them, like there's a lot of overhead to promise coins.
Yeah.
There's a lot of overhead to all these other things that have done so well. And I think at the end of the day, my math is we're not at we're not at the 2x, sacrifice rate yet. And, even terrible projects that like go offline and stuff, a lot of them can do a 14x, they can do 100x, or they can do 1000x. Where are you going to get those returns if you're even making $100 investment? If you're making $1,000 investment or a $10,000 investment, where are you going to see those kind of returns? I still don't think you're going to find it as easily maybe as you do here. Now, software is hard and things can go wrong, but I love PulseX more and more. Every time I think about the game theory, every time I think about how it's going to really attract a lot of users, just like PulseChain did. I mean, it's already attracted more sacrifice addresses than PulseChain did. And so there's a lot of use case there. We've got a breakdown here. Oh, and like the last point I wanted to make is that maybe the OA will tell us when it's too late to get in on the PulseX
when he buys.
Because last time, that looking back, that would have been kind of my cutoff. Is like if you
it's gonna be towards the end when that rate becomes flat. The bonus is done. It's just gonna, because I mean, once he comes in, it's a wrap. But for the real thing, again, I want just people to understand the real wisdom. Again, don't try to time the market. Time in the market. The real people that are gonna win, irrespective of this bounding curve, I truly believe that, are gonna be those that's gonna hold longer. And here's also why. Extra piece of wisdom for free alpha, Quan Gang. Not only you're learning how to protect yourself from yourself by holding longer. Delegating is a way to some degree, or kind of like staking, because you're earning a reward and it's kind of luck, not as hard luck as a hex, but at least you know that, hey, it's doing something and it's generating. And the reason why that is important is because of number 3. The scams will come. They want what? They want your pulse. Yeah. Come here, do this, do that, invest in us. Oh, quick flip, put the pulse here. You get. How many times have we seen that movie? How many times? Oh, and then of course, like scams do, they pump, right? Oh, and then when you get in, that's when they dump. And then you realize, oh, that wasn't audited code. Oh, that wasn't, a blue chip Richard Hart style type coins. Like, no, don't do that. Because people are already working so hard, quote unquote, to build something that has product market fit, honest, fully decentralized, all the good stuff that you're looking for. The question now is, are you worthy of the gains? That's really what it comes down to. I don't know what else to put it. So, because this is going to be the thing that I'm going to be the most worried about. And of course, we're going to be here preaching, of course. But some will listen, like our favorite faithful Quan Gang listeners, multimillionaires. Some won't, and then they will get, unfortunately, wrecked. But at least we can go and check the tape, be like, hey, we told you. Somebody said in the comment, it's funny, I said that. It says, I'm here for the shenanigans. Because I said, watch out for the shenanigans. He says, I'm here for the shenanigans. Well, hey, good for you. But if you lose it all, don't come crying later. So, because you've been warned.
There's one person in the chat out of 301 who says that people shouldn't live stream as much. And I disagree.
Yeah, I was about to acknowledge that. Yeah, because what that person said, and it is what it is. Nobody here streaming or any other Hexican streaming is telling folks, yeah, do it. You better throw everything in there, blah, blah. Don't think twice, blah, blah. No, we educate. And the day is never financial advice, right? What I do is going to be completely different than you. What I tell my brother, my mother, my sister, whoever to do something, I give them advice. But at the end of the day, they got to sit down and decide to do that play that we discussed, or do their own research, right? I never tell them, yeah, don't worry, just buy this, you're gonna be rich as hell. No, there's no such thing. And if you do see people doing that, that's bullshit. That's false, right?
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, you know, we're here. Mostly everybody's here streaming every other day or whatever it is, and we always make sure, guys, it's not financial advice. Anything could happen in crypto, right? Put in what you're willing to lose, right? And, you know, call it a day. You know, by the end of the day, you got to do your research. You know, at the end of the day, it's only the tip of the iceberg where we're discussing. There's still a lot more to learn, and the only person who could actually do that, it's you, it's not us. So, you know, to say that type of comment, I think it's kind of a little bit foolish, you know, but it is.
It pains me to cover simple topics and things that we've already talked about.
Yeah, we
because
want
I
to
know
advance
that it
stuff,
can
but
hurt some of our more advanced users, and we will get into deeper topics and be favoring the people who are more advanced. But there are moments in history when you have to put aside your, like, you know, your desire to learn something new, and you have to hit the repetition, like Karim says. And sometimes there are going to be 10 people out of 300 that like don't know, and they're still making up their mind, and maybe they do want to look at these numbers again and again, and maybe those people deserve to get ahead in life, you know, however that's going to work out for them. And putting too much money in on something, that is not the way to do it. Think about it this way as well, though. You want to put in what's right for you, because when you don't take an opportunity that has an amazing upside and a low enough risk, because you're not putting in too much money, what you're doing is you're buying back your time on the back end.
Yeah.
You're putting in, you know, you're putting in $100 or $1,000 that's not going to wreck you. And then you're, you know, then you're potentially being able to retire early. There are a lot of people who invested in Hex who put in $100 or $1,000 and they're retiring early. The risk was that they didn't put in a small amount to them. And, you know, then there's going to be people on the edge who like maybe don't have lots of hundreds of dollars to invest in things. And then, you know, sometimes you miss out, but you can still learn.
Yes. And again, ultimately, the wisdom for those people that Manny's talking about that's still not being fully acknowledged, people kind of gloss over that, is they did their time. Some of those people even knew Hex because even before even Hex was a thing. Following Richard for 4+ years, was diligence, patient, worked hard. And for them at the time, that couple $100,000 was a lot of money to them. You know what I mean? That was still the equivalent of somebody that has money that maybe put $1 million or $100,000. That's when it's all of what you have to invest. That's a lot of money, period. I don't care who it is, but they had the discipline. They had the faith because they've run the numbers. That's what we say. It's mathematical. It's not like, oh, kumbaya, this and that. And make sure you reach what I call that level 3 understanding, right? Because that's why repetition is important. First, you listen. Second, you understand. Third, you internalize. When you internalize, the job is done. Whether we're on the streams or not, you're going to do what needs to be done because you already understand. But we're also doing the stream for the new guys because we don't want to assume that everybody knows everything. You never know who is watching. The same reason why for the last 30 minutes, we were talking about the space and why we're there. Because we're onboarding new people that don't know, that don't have the repetition that some people even take for granted because you've been watching us for over a year. But imagine we didn't do that and you would have been lost and you didn't invest and then you didn't get the gains and then you could have been still caught up in the rat race. So understand what is happening. Make sure to fully hear us and also internalize what's being said here. Those who want to console trend or because they're projecting is because maybe they either used to scam or they have been scammed, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean because you had a bad experience that we're doing the same thing here. No. And we're not telling people what to do. We're showing what's potential, what's possible. And my favorite thing to do is I'm just sharing my experience, what I'm doing every day, every week. If you choose to do it, great. You don't want to do it, that's great too. Because I am fine either way because I'm a self-sovereign individual and I make my own decision. But if you want to know what I'm doing, I'm going to share with you. And then the decision is for you to make if you want to take action or not. And that's how everybody should do it all the time. We're just sharing what we are doing. If you want to get involved, great. And we can even help you get involved the safe way, the secure way. Very important so you don't lose your funds. There's nothing worse.
My biggest regret my biggest regret or fear, right, is not going and telling my family and friends about something like this, about Hex, Pulse X, or Pulse Chain, and it goes down to zero, right? Because at the end of the day, I know I'm gonna do my due diligence of speaking, showing them every single thing possible, ins, outs, the risk, and not the risk. And at the end of the day, they got to make that decision. I think the biggest fear I have is not telling them this, and the shit hits the moon, and they could have just thrown 1,000, 500, 200, whatever the amount is, and it really could have been life-changing wealth, and they're gonna turn around and tell me, why didn't you bother telling me this, right? Like,
Yeah.
I
Right.
don't want that, right?
Mhm.
I rather
Well, why didn't you try harder, right?
yeah,
Your famous
exactly,
line.
right? Like I rather us be around circles, be like, hey, damn, it failed. We tried, guys. It was a good run. We learned. It's a good experience. And me living in a yacht or whatever it is, changing my life, and they're struggling still at home doing whatever it is, and I never told them, right? That sucks. So, but the guy in the chat saying you're just trolling, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, you said something about you stopped telling your friends and family at day 10. Like, come on, day 10. Like, that's it. Like, come on, you're just trolling. Like, stop.
I thought I was sacrificing for freedom of movement. I didn't
Yeah.
know I was getting anything in return.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's that
And-
simple.
And also, ultimately,
Right.
if for example, also, I want to preface this. This is important. I want to make sure people understand also the order of priority, at least in my head, what's important, right? Hex, Pulse, Sex. In other words, if somebody is also brand new, first time they even heard about Hex, and you think, hey, maybe they'll just buy Hex and then stake and create their money printer for their ladder, that's fine too. Because as you have heard me say many, many times, staying real, that's the first thing. Some of us who have sacrificed because we already have a bag of X. So if you're gonna tell somebody not to get involved because you're afraid, I think that is wrong. But if you're gonna tell somebody, hey, maybe before you sacrifice, hey, let's get you some t-shirts, let's get you some passive income, then that's also great too, because you'll get a copy of that. So the idea is you basically show the line of products of what's available, what's what, and what does what, right? Hey, Karim, I want to earn passive income. I still love what I'm doing my work. I just want my money to compound. Okay, cool. I might not even tell you to sacrifice. I might just, hey, let's get some t-shirt, you get the copy. But I'll always make sure to do that report. What is it that you're trying to get out of this? So I can best assist you. Make sense? I'm talking about when I do my one-on-one, like, serious level onboarding, because I show how much I care. That's the point. So if it's like, hey, I heard about this chain, I want to sacrifice, I'm going to get involved, blah, blah, blah. Freedom of free move. Great. Let's do this. Put it in there safely, get your sticker app, activate it, and I'll still remind you, hey, I highly suggest you don't touch that thing for a long time if you really want to do the mad gains. If you're just here for the first double or the second double, that's fine too. But then don't come cry later when it does more, and then you're gonna be like, oh man, this thing did what? Like, no. You knew. I told you.
Yep.
So there's not gonna be ifs or buts about it. We're gonna go check the tape. So
I think the biggest fear I have is not telling my family or friends about these type of projects or products we're invested in. I think the biggest fear I have is them seeing what the gas fees are. That's the biggest fear, and trying to convince them about that, right? But besides that, it's like, come on, guys. Like, at the end of the day, we share things in life with family and friends, and this could be something that's pretty remarkable for everyone around you. So, don't be naive. I will say this: look at the price yourself and tell yourself, if you found out that you could buy today at that price and somebody didn't tell you, would you be upset? If the answer is yes, pick up that phone and tell a family or friend member, right? It's very easy, But if you look at the Pulse chain and you're gonna try to pitch that to somebody, your family or friend, you're a jerk. Like, don't do that, But besides that, just it's at the end of the day, it's not financial advice, etc. But help out, your family, your fellow family, friends, your community. You never know who could be struggling. This could be the best thing for them. So, and they let them make that decision. It's not your job to make that decision, So
your job is to provide the information so they can then make an educated decision based on what's available.
Exactly.
And then you hold them accountable to that decision too. So later on, they can't come back and say, hey, no, I told you. I was there. I spent the time. You knew, and you choose not to participate, which is fine, but that's no longer on me. That is on you. Accountability is important as well. Keeping that. So.
Hey, Maddie,
there's a few people in the chat who don't understand the fact that our bags don't pump from you buying this. In fact, the game theory is set up so more points, more tokens will be created, the more get sacrificed. And so literally, even though we're getting a smaller piece of a bigger pie, like I still think that that's good enough for me to like let other people know, to get other people in that I, you know, I've onboarded a lot of people that I care about, you know, in between $100 and $3,000, I would say is, you know, a lot of people that I've gotten in, it's money that they didn't, you know, they didn't need in order to live, or in some cases it was a, you know, my gift to them. And so, yeah, so I think that if you really dove into the details, you could see that this is not some kind of thing where we're pumping our own bags. We're actually trying to share the opportunity.
Yep, it's a great nuance.
If there was some like cool criticism, I mean, we like that. We like that a lot. On this show, we argue with each other probably more than most.
All the time.
That's why it's fun.
And it's fun, yeah. And
you should see after hours.
Not everybody can be right all the time, and that's exciting.
So my advance out there, I guess, yeah. But again, this is why it's important, because you're sharing that knowledge, you're educating them, so they can then make an educated decision, and later on know, oh, I knew what I was doing, and I made my decision based on that. So whether I'm sacrificed from one or the other, or just definitely getting hacks, if you know that you show them all the different tools, you show them what's available, and then they pick, boom, then you know your job is done. And that's ultimately what this is. Because the ultimate value, once again, repetition, the real mad gains is going to come from those who hold the longest. I'm telling you right now, there's no ifs or buts in it is crystal clear. You can take it to the bank. You could be a day one sacrificer. You sell too early, you can be missing the mad gains. That's a fact. And then from there, there's always going to be those people that think they're too smart for their own go, oh, I'm a Karim, I'm a great trader, I'm a da-da-da, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Good. It worked until it doesn't. And then you get wrecked. And then this was your ticket to maybe retirement, and then you mess it up. Like, you know what I mean? Like lightning strike at the same place very rarely. And this time you got 2-3 chance. What? And you're going to gamble with that? Good job.
Hey, Karim, before we talk about the charts really quick, I think you wanted to talk about, what was it, K4K's thread or something like that?
I've got it up here.
Okay, cool. I think that was pretty smart of him to do, you know. Jimmy Neutron. I love that guy. So
this is looking at the, basically at an example of what the numbers might look like, and it qualifies itself very well. So here's from K4K, who is on the Hex conference. Shout out to you. Thank you for this awesome thread. It says, if PulseX has 180 billion in volume in 180 days, which is what PancakeSwap did, that equates to $100+ million in potential buyback and burn. If we assume 10 million liquidity and no one at all bought or sold PulseX, that 100 million would 400x the price. Let's look at the math for that. Price in the automated market maker smart contracts move as a function of a square. So if you double one side, you 4x the price of the other side. So in a $10 million liquidity example, each side is 5 million. 100 million is 20x 5 million. So the price of PulseX goes up the square of 20, which is 400x. This is assuming a somewhat high starting liquidity and also a very unlikely scenario where no one is buying or selling. It would move price even more if it was less liquid, and less if it was more liquid. As people take profit along the way, that pushes the price down as well. But eventually, perhaps the coins land in someone's hands that won't sell them for a long time. That's when the price really ratchets up. This would take the price of PulseX, if liquidity was added at the price of 1/1000th of a dollar, or 1/10,000th of a dollar per PulseX, to 4 pennies in 6 months if no one did anything, but add some initial liquidity. This isn't guaranteed or anything, just a representation of how much potential buy and burn has.
That is so stupid, right? Like, not stupid bad, stupid good. Like,
I love it.
That's incredible.
Lesson five. And by the way, K4K, if you're watching, great analysis. Now,
Yeah,
let's also
smart,
play a
man.
little bit
Very
devil
smart.
advocate, right? Because when you do advanced analysis like that, I usually sometimes do that in my head. I argue for it and I argue against, right? I firmly believe, and myself included, most of the people, obviously, the majority party of the sacrificers are Hexicans, right? Or diehard people that understand the power of delayed gratification. And quite frankly, we're already rich. That's a fact. So I look at it like trading volume might be lower than this estimation at first, because if you know what you own and you're smart and you're rich at heart, chances are you're not going to trade it if you're smart. If you're smart. So I have to estimate that it's not going to do what the pancake is going to do, because over there they're full on degen, and that's a fact too. Over here we're more old school, delayed gratification. So trading volume is not going to be as much, which I like because I want to slow the velocity of money so price appreciation can also happen faster. So now the $1 million question comes in, because math is still math. It's just about the preface and putting the right input. Well, let's say it's only half. Okay, and like Maddie says, they move as a function of a square. So instead of 400x, right, we get 100x. Funny joke, first thing, nobody here is going to complain about a 100x move in 6 months. Nobody, right?
You'd be stupid too.
And this is what you got to do. You got to discount certain assumptions to say, hey, this is great, but worst case scenario, if you just do this, how would I feel? Is that okay investment? Because then you have to justify in your mind why you're holding for however long that you're holding. Because if you don't do that analysis, this is how you get swayed by the bullshit. This is why you want to sell early. This is why garbage projects comes in and trying to convince you to give their pulse, because they're doing their scam. They're taking your money, and then when the price 100x, you got no money, you got scammed, and they're the one running away and cashing out. So you don't want to have that. So I have to estimate that to the downside due to the nature of the product itself. The people holding it are old school. We understand delayed gratification. We know what a Richard Hart premium product has a typically tendency to do over time. And we also know that because it is deflationary and will have also some token burn, let's not forget that, Pulse X and Pulse Chain, it's in your best interest not to trade, because the thing is going to go up higher regardless, because the trading volume might be lower, but it's not going to be zero. That's my point. So you also incentivize to keep that. Now, the real key there becomes, how high do we go at entry? The real moving target is going to be, what is the function of the onboarding power? Let me explain. Yeah. And Richard had a great analogy. Inflation doesn't matter, new liquidity, if you don't account also for the on-ramp volume. You can inflate at 100% a year, but if you onboard at 1,000x average a year, price goes up. Move out the way. We're coming through. So that is the better analysis to do, not so much about what the volume of another thing that also known to just people just degen trade over there, but more about what is the function of the onboarding that's going to ensue after that. Because we can get less trading volume, which also means less coins are moving, but then the on-ramping comes in, and the on-ramping is what justifies the price going up. Not the token burn at first, but the fact that people just want to buy this stuff because the simple fact that they know that it's deflationary, they get to use it for fees, Pulse Chain, right? Because you need Pulse to transact. And for Pulse X, you just hold it and you know there's a buyback token burn. Nobody, even traditional investor, nobody's not going to like something that has a buyback program, let alone a 21% buyback program. Make sense? So I think that's going to be more the reasoning of the increase, the onboarding coming in, because we're still relatively small and we're really going viral this year. I firmly believe. I mean, just look at the stats. That is, to me, is going to be the more functional price up versus the trading volume, because again, we're not degen, we're long-term investor. But I will be okay even with 100x.
So if you don't mind, I know you like to play devil's advocate and look at both sides. So I'll look at both sides of where you talked about, right? One, you hit it on the nail, Karim, always, right? Now, I say the reason why I think it has potential to hit this type of numbers, right? Don't forget, folks, right? We have millions of people out there that don't know that even Pulse Chain exists. And when they
Yes.
do, they're going to have a free bag. And when they do have that free bag, especially during the bear market, people love free money. And people love to gamble and do all that stuff no matter what you do. Because at the end of the day, this is what a lot of people end up doing, right? So a lot of these folks still will come over, and a lot of these folks will trade and use and do yield farming and do this and do that and join every other project that's on the unit and etc. Now you are not wrong when you said about how the hexagons and pulsicans are, that we don't really do those things. I personally think hexagons and pulsicans are the ones that are going to end up having the greatest gains. Why? Because we're programmed to hold and not sell too early, right? Because listen,
Because
we're
we have
all
receipts, we have
exactly
done
right.
that,
We
we
proved
know
it.
what
We
it
proved it with
turns out.
Hex, right? Like it's a done deal. We proved that, even though we see big numbers and stuff like that, we could hold it, right? A lot of people don't do that. So you're gonna have one side of our community, just waiting for that day where the thing just explodes for us because we hold for a very long time. And then you have those people that just gonna be in and out, in and out, in and out, doing
And
the
get
trading
chopped
for
off.
us. So I think it's a beautiful system. I think the way Richard Hart has created this and the dev teams, now let's not forget them, right? I think it's brilliant, right? And I really do hope that Biden burn function works the way he
Oh, it
says.
will.
Because
And
he
Marco,
does.
let me make something
Oh
clear
my
because I
God,
think
right?
that may
Like,
have been misconstrued. I
yeah,
firmly believe we're gonna get there
yeah.
and even beyond.
Oh yeah,
I'm just trying to say it may not happen in that first 180
yeah. Not the
days.
first 6 months. Yeah, I
That's
think
the
it might be a
nuance.
little longer.
Not
Yeah,
because he can, but
yeah.
because most Hexicans, rightfully so. Again, A, we're already rich. B, we're not traders. We like to hold things.
Yeah.
And because also, once again, if there is less available on market because we are who we are and the demand continues to come in, you might end up getting your 400x without even worried about the token burn. That's what I'm trying to say. Ultimately, it's
Crazy.
gonna come because of onboarding, and then yours truly is out there on the tour. Make no mistake. Give me my pulse chain. I'm gonna go international. So ultimately, I'm saying we might end up getting the 400x, but due to different reasons.
Yeah.
Because it was a great assessment that he did, but I'm also want to put in a perspective like, well, this is also a place that's known for degen traders. Okay, we're not like that. We're not gonna get that kind of volume. But if we slow the velocity of money and onboarding comes in, rightfully so, because of all the things that you just talked about, we might end up getting there for a different reason. And even if people sell, but the demand just comes in, it's just gonna eat it all up and keep moving it up regardless. So the more the story, if you're lucky enough to be here right now listening and get yourself to sacrifice and get polls, you should think twice before you start playing the trading game, because you might not be able to get those polls back. That's what I'm trying to say.
And you need Pulse to play in this ecosystem, so you want to make sure you have something.
And then same thing with your pulse X. You know what I mean? You might not be able to get the same amount, or like, hey, your total USD value is gonna go up, but the number of coin that you guys are gonna go down. So for me, your wealth is decreasing, not increasing. When you had the chance to be up into something that was brand new, let's not forget. People don't, maybe they knew. Godwell became Godwell because he was a day one Ethereum guy and he never sold. He had his 400,000 ETH, which used to be worth not that much back then. Now it's worth a lot, but he wasn't out there trading. That's the philosophy that I want to imprint into people's mind. Look at this chart; it's going up and to the right. You don't need to try to time the market. Is it going to take 6 months, a year, or 2? It doesn't matter. It's doing it. Nobody's going to complain about making 100x, 400x, even if I'm sorry, my bad. It took an extra 6 months, but hey, here's another 100x on your money. What are we talking about? So this is why the core value I want them to understand, and the NFT folks are not going to stop degenning on that, and they're going to need Pulse to do that anyway. So understand that it's going to do very well because of all those functions.
Yeah.
And since we're just specifically talking about that tweet trade, which is very good, the little pushback that I'm saying is just it may not do that much volume because we're not traders. But that doesn't mean that we can't get to the 400x. But I think we're going to get there because of new user coming in, less because of traders. But then the price goes up and you can still get 180 billion volume, right? With less coin if the price of each coin is higher.
And let's not forget the pairing too, right? If one pair goes up with the liquidity, it helps pull the other coins out there. So, and in the Richard Hart ecosystem, they're really helping each other out. So if one does crazy numbers, little by little, the others probably be pulled with it. So let's not forget these simple things, right? Like, It's crazy, man. There's nothing else out there that's capable of doing this. So
An easy analogy: we have always had trending $15 million to $20 million USD value liquidity always at all time, right? We call it on-demand liquidity. It's there just enough to allow price appreciation and just enough to make sure that you can still cash out respectfully, but not trying to do multi-million, because we know you're trading and you deserve to get wrecked on some slippage, because we're not just going to give you the perfect exit like that. But the moral of the story for that is that we used to do that with hundreds of millions of X compared to the USDC or the ETH side. Then we started doing that with just, 100 million X, 50 million X, 25 million X. Now we're doing that with about 13, 14 million X. You see what I'm getting at? So the liquidity stays where it needs to be stable. But you see how over time it's less hex, right? When you go to Uniswap, when you go to the pairing and you just look at it crypto to crypto, because the coin is going up in value. So I just want people to understand that we might get less coins moving, but because the velocity of money slows down, the price of each coin goes up. So we might end up getting that 180 billion over time, trading volume, USD value, but with lesser number of PulseX token floating around, because smart money knows that this thing is deflationary.
Yeah.
So it's a store of value by definition. I need to think twice before dumping it.
And before wave 3, before you go, look into hex.com, made by Gerardo. Fantastic. I call him AKA Young Gohan, So if you guys are not following him, follow him on Twitter, YouTube. Phenomenal charts, phenomenal stuff he puts out. So, wave 3, what do you think?
Yeah, so it's as Karim mentioned. So if you have a deflationary asset, you don't want to get rid of your premier assets. You want to basically keep adding. Basically adding capital to premier assets over time. So, and I mean, we have it here. I mean, you see it from this data set. You see the price performance versus Bitcoin. So, at day 1,000, perhaps it's at a 10,000x since multiple since launch. So, and that would put the price. I believe right now it's on this log chart. I think it's around a 1,000x, maybe more. But you're looking at multi-dollar price targets at that point. So, I consider at least if you're going to go off the current state of the price chart, I do view this window while the PulseX sacrifice is ongoing as an opportunity, because and I can even pull up a price chart here if you guys are interested in seeing some fractals, at least relative to what's at least historically taken place. So let me know if you guys can see my chart here.
Got it.
We'll turn it on. Yep.
Cool. Yes.
Thanks to everybody who's watching right now. We have 375 live, thousands on the replay. I think the episode last week got over 7,000 views, more than the Bitcoin pre-conference usually does. So, not big numbers for outside of crypto, but inside of crypto and in these long technical formats, we're really pleased to have everybody here. Hit the like and subscribe button, and check in the description below for the links to each and every one of us here on screen. You can follow us individually as well.
Yeah. And considering the price levels, so this over here, it looks very similar to the early stages. So I just think we're seeing what we've seen all along since through this entire bull channel. So I do believe we will see multi-dollar hex targets at some point in the not too distant future, whether that's 12 months from now, or maybe that's 18 months from now. Like, either way, it could happen. It could honestly even happen as soon as within the next 6 months, if you consider the rate of growth within this price channel. So, I really do view this sacrifice phase with what's ongoing. It's an opportunity, guys. Like, I get the price is going down right now, but that's also because we specifically mentioned, like, early on, like, if you're going to sacrifice for PulseX, which I would highly recommend, do so early on, because if history rhymes to the Pulse chain sacrifice, there's There's a lot of speculative trading that takes place, and if it does rhyme, the price did actually hit a bottom towards the tail ends of the Pulse chain sacrifice, and I won't be surprised if we see the same thing for Pulse Hex. Richard even mentioned it during the Hex conference with Maddie, and just to be very clear, like, what I'm saying right now, this is price speculation. Do not take this as an absolute. Like, I'm obviously very bullish on the Hex price chart. The price chart itself is obviously very bullish too. It's following its bull market channel, but there's 2.1 billion Hex that is now off the market from the Pulse chain sacrifice. So, like, massive supply sink, guys. Like, you can't, it's on chain. You could literally go see it on chain. You can see that supply sink on chain. You don't get better inputs than that. You don't ever get to see that kind of stuff. So to me, that's very bullish. So I personally will be, looking to add more, like during basically the next 3 to 4 weeks while we are in this ongoing Pulse X sacrifice. I don't know what the perfect entry is going to be. I really don't know. I don't really care. At the same time, the whole point is, as long as you're buying and you keep adding, ideally stake it as well, because then you definitely guarantee that you're going to get the copy at that point, and you don't recklessly sell before the actual snapshot and all that. So this is an opportunity. So the price chart to me just looks amazing, and it's also faring much better in these market conditions compared to what's taking place with Bitcoin and Ethereum, which are very bearish on their charts, especially the grayscale products, GBTC and ETHE that Karim mentioned previously during the stream regarding the premiums. So it's really good, guys. I mean, it goes to the whole thing. Like, there's if we were even to bring up even the example again with like the tickets, right? Like, there's people that they sort of dilly-dally. They didn't get a ticket, and then they're not going to go to the Hex conference. It's the same thing with like the price chart. If you dilly-dally, put in what you're comfortable, definitely put in what you're comfortable, and at least have that exposure before the next run up, because it's really fast, and generally, you don't want to buy into strength in the market. You actually want to buy into retracements, because that's where basically all the opportunity resets, and you get in at a good discount, and it's still at a good discount right now. So just prepare yourselves.
It'd be really cool to see if somebody like has a good way to query the blockchain. You might be able to do this, with an automated program where you're able to actually go in and see what percentage of the total coins sacrificed or the total value sacrificed for Pulse X was people who already own a significant amount of Hex. So what I'm saying is, Hex, the reason the price goes up is because there are people who are done selling or who are spreading out their sells over the rest of their life. And so if 50% of the Pulse X tokens are going to go to people who are already done selling and have enough Hex to spread out over their life, then imagine what that can do as kind of another force multiplier or something, even if it's higher than that. It might be higher than that. The people who believe in Richard Hart and who had more capital to put in, because, the average user in Hex who's been in Hex for over a year, is up 25x, is up 50x. I had a question about.
Maddie, if I may,
go ahead.
Before your question, because I want to double down again on what Wave 3 just talked about, which is important. People, again, underestimating the amount of liquidity that's been removed, and understanding that this truly, for the new people watching or those who are not done accumulating, and I have, many of my friends, even people that I met in Louisiana, that are just rushing, closing their house deals so they can then get the capital to then buy, because this might be your last chance to get a bunch of liquid Hex before it gets even more scarce. Because what I've also done in terms of chain analysis, some of the new money that's coming out, and we saw even like yesterday, it's just, we have some stakes that are ending from now to the end of the month. People doing what they're supposed to do, right? They're cashing out some interest and they're restaking some principal and doing some sacrifice. But once you look past where we are now, in about a week, again, time goes like this. In about a week towards the end of the month, actually, let me just do this. Point game. Maddie, if you don't mind, I want to share my screen briefly.
Sure.
To show that this might be your last chance. Because again, like I've said famously many times on Gerardo's streams, it's there and then it's no more and deep cancel and then see you later. Can you see my screen?
Got it.
Yeah, now.
So this right now is kind of like where we are now, right, Fred, in the 1920, kind of towards the end of the month. And then
So people who haven't seen this, how would you orient them to this?
Oh yeah, sorry. Hex that vision. Let me start from the beginning. So you will do this. Hex that vision.
So it's showing when everybody's time-locked hex is coming out over the next 15 years.
Yes.
And I believe Karim is planning on zooming in here to the next couple months to see what the future market supply is.
Yep.
Although we don't know how many coins that are liquid now could stake between now and when these coins come out. It's far more information than any other financial market.
You'll go to staking. You'll go to staking right here. So you can to see that chart of future market supply. And I want people to, I'm going to show what I mainly focus on, because some of the stakes, they're just normally shorts. People have what I call rotational stake. They just leave off the interest, whatever. I want people to just pay attention to some of the big spikes. So, and then what I'm doing is I'm zooming only for a couple of times that I want to just look in depth, kind of like the next 3 to 6 months. So I usually zoom out like that. And then I zoom in even more. I'm looking at kind of like January to roughly about like, let's say April. And then it's loading. Just give me 1 second.
Have you noticed you don't see those Mount Everest of the billions and billions of stakes anymore?
Oh yeah, it used to be way more. It's getting less and less. But the first thing I want people to notice right here, quick math, is look at that blue chart. The stock is it, and then after that, it's a drop. There's almost none. Like back in the day, last year used to be way more and then drop. So this might be your last chance to scoop hex from who? From the people who are like, ending their stake, maybe taking some profit. That becomes your dip buying opportunity, because when that is done and it gets purchased or sacrificed, there is basically no more hex. This one here, I suspect this is an OA, because it makes sense to me, because it's going to be around end of sacrifice. And then there's the 5-day grace period. So that's probably when he's going to come in. That's my educated guess. This is kind of spread out users, but you get to see after that, look, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and hex gets more and more scarce, which allow price appreciation. Yeah. And let's not forget, a lot of T-shares are being burned. T-share is accelerating insanely. It's 20,484. It went up 200 plus points literally just over yesterday. Like I've said many times, T-share acceleration is a real thing. And you can put into perspective, think hex is $1, and now every day before price appreciation, we're averaging $30, $50 rise, because he moves about 30, 50 points here and there, and faster and faster. So like Wefty's been saying, this might be your last buying opportunity, but it comes quick and it goes quick, because a lot of those people, like the guy yesterday, some of it is never going to hit market. It's going to get sacrificed. I think that's what the guy did. He sacrificed like a bunch, and then he took some profit, which is fine.
Yeah.
But you're going to see a lot of people do that. So this might be you. If you're new and you're like, oh, I want to buy hex, this might be your window. Because after that, and then we start February, and then on my birthday, whatever, and then you see the blue trend line. That's what I want you to see. Start to trend down. And I think this is OA right here. Most of it is going to get sacrificed. And then you just continue to trend down. Down, 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 down she goes. So don't squander that opportunity, because the little bit of dip that you're seeing is mainly coming from some of those end stakes that's happening now to the end of the month. But after that gets exhausted, there is no more hex around. And then next thing you know, we'll just pump the price right back up. And then it's like you miss your chance. And next thing you know, you're buying back at 30 cents, 40 cents, and on the way up. So this is why I really, really want to make people understand what is happening, and don't take that for granted, because the sooner it comes, the sooner it goes. The dip can literally just go as fast as it came. And just briefly touch on the Bitcoin thing. This is the premium that I was talking about earlier.
Damn, that shit went down, man.
Look, all-time low.
Yeah.
Negative, literally It went to as low as negative 27%.
That's
Wow.
crazy,
It
man.
tells you from the thing, and then it just the trend. It's pathetic. And it's crazy because it gets worse and worse as the price is going down. You see, because what people don't understand is it's relative to the price. So when the price kind of crash like this, it spikes back up because they're trying to close the premium. The premium just means what's the relationship between whatever the price is now versus what those people who buying fake Bitcoin bought it as. So if we're roughly at 42,000 and change, and we are negative 23, negative 27% premium, right? It means people are buying Bitcoin right now at about, $32,000, more or less, which means it's a leading indicator of what's happening and what could be happening soon, and then trend that direction, break the trend, and then you're going to end up left alone. And there's other product, like you said, where the premium is even worse. So understand that, see the chart, Ethereum here briefly on the daily, rapidly approaching to do his potential death cross. I told you guys last week, be careful for the bounce. It's fake. You're going to get spanked again. Look at what happened. Boom. But then the elephant in the room is the trend is clear, and this is about to close. When you look at Bitcoin, same thing. It already death crossed. Now we're even below the trend. We're below my long-term support line that I like to talk about. And then now it death crossed, and it's still kind of like doing the puking. It's basically doing this.
Yeah. Yep.
It did a little fake out, then it's just this holding by the Keltner channel to the way down. And again, put into perspective, Bitcoin premium right now, fake Bitcoin is here. They're buying it at, again, negative 23%. So off of $42,000, they're buying it right around here, rightfully so, which is support. So I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the month,
That shit looks scary, man.
yeah. And then again, back to what I was talking about last week, you look at the dollar index still strong. I told John Wick, don't buy this. That's a fake out. It's the same thing. Look at how it went back up. The trend is your friend. That's why you have to zoom out. And you have to look at the moving average, not the little, we got a little moment. Look, it literally did a breakout, retest, ready to go.
Yeah.
Same thing here. It did this. Oh, it's going back down. Nope. It was just Keltner channel. That's why I say don't look at the 4 hours. Don't look at the daily. Look at the weekly. That's just a retest. Because when you look at it like this, at the time you think, oh, it's going to go back down. Nope. When you look at this, it's even worse. It looks like, oh my God, we're dying. No, that was just systemic risk. They probably had to liquidate some people, but right back up because the inflation number is bad. It is bad. Even when they say, oh, we estimated 7% inflation and it was 7% inflation. So that's why this thing happened. And then the real world realized, but wait a minute, even though we're right about the estimate, last I checked, 7% is still bad. So therefore, this needs to go up because they need to find a way to taper it. And that's why this trend is going to continue to happen. And the higher this goes, this is the danger zone, 97. When we reach the danger zone, holy cow, this is where we're full on. I mean, we're in bear market, but like it's going to be bad. Why? Because last time this happened, right around here, April, May, June, 97 and above, sustainable. If I go to the Bitcoin chart, just for fun, again, provide the data. It was right around here. See, that's when we really start to puke, which is we're right there. So
yeah,
right around May, June, because the weight is so high of the cost of money and the dollar strengthening has to push Bitcoin down to the point where then it breaks. So we're starting to apply the pressure. This thing is trending up. The moment it crossed 97, bullish cross, kind of like here, I'm expecting this balance of probability. You're looking at right around end of February to March. It's going to continue to accelerate. You're going to hear the narrative. You're going to hear about Omicron. You're going to hear about the Chinese New Year's and the people cashing out. The same recycled garbage that they use every year in February. People taking profits when it's just like, no, dollar is strengthening. This shit is going bad. Wake up.
Right. Yeah, these are really good charts, Karim, because it's a lot easier to visualize with the way you have it set up with the moving averages and the GBTC chart today. The monthly, I mean, we still have another 10 days or so until the end of the March,
Yeah.
or about 12 days. The monthly is actually at a level that's actually it's actually almost lower than what the monthly was during the last local bottom. It's a bit misleading for anybody that's looking at GBTC on, let's say, which by the way is still extremely bearish. If they're looking at it on the 2 week time frame, it looks terrible. It's so bad. But the monthly close basically looks like it's heading into a lower low on the monthly for GBTC, which is going to be and then plus like the timing with that with the DXY accelerating or potentially setting up a breakout to the upside. I mean, Ethereum can very easily crash back to like $800.
Oh yeah,
like very easily this year. So
because
I don't
now
like
you have
paying more than
too much
600 for
confidence.
ETH.
Yeah,
that's what I tell people. You have too much confidence. This is where it becomes insult to injury. Dollar is strengthening fast. This is just a retest. It's just going back business as usual. And then tomorrow you're gonna hear more about it. And then to add insults to injury, the US 10-year yield is going crazy right now. Look at this.
Yeah,
it's insane. Now, for the new viewer, why does that matter? I always use the analogy of buying a house. Most people don't buy a house because it's worth $1 million or $10 million. They don't look at it like that. They look at what's the monthly payment. That's how they afford house. And they don't understand that monthly payment is solely directed based on interest rates. So you need to understand what the interest rate is, because it's going to dictate what you can actually afford. So if the yield is, let's say, over here, okay, and then maybe you want to buy $1 million house because it's $3,000 a month, you can afford $3,000 a month, so that's okay. But then this happened where, especially when you don't have fixed rates, because some people are stupid enough to buy variable rates because they think it's going to go down, right? Oh, it only goes down because they got to print money, blah, 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 right? And then he does this, which is a 20% rise. That's insane. It means that your monthly payment that you could quote unquote afford on that $1 million house is no longer $3,000, because it also went up a lot by 20-some% because the cost of money went up by 20%.
Yeah.
Make sense? But now all of a sudden you can no longer afford a $1 million house. You can only afford an $800,000 house or a $700,000 house because your budget is that $3,000.
Like that.
Yep. That's how you got to look at it. And then this is how bear market, even in those industries, starts, because house needs to be sold, right? So if nobody's buying because they can't afford it, then people are going to start lowering their prices, because you got to meet the customer where they are, right? Then you lower your price, then your house starts to sell for less. Your house starts to sell for less. The words gets around, oh, we're in a bear market. But this is all of the mechanisms, because it doesn't happen over time. This is why interest rate basically dictates everything, because it dictates what you can afford. The same way when that thing was in a toilet over here, you could buy a $5 million house. Who cares? Interest is basically zero or free or whatever, right? Look at this right here. Holy cow. Because you're borrowing money almost for free. And if you have a 30-year loan or whatever, I mean, for the banks, because we actually don't get this rate, funny enough, right? That's just what the big banks are getting. So that's why they could borrow this money for free, basically. But now that the rates are rising and the Fed is like, hey, you have to repay us now at a higher price, that's why they have to dump those high assets who are basically kind of playing the hot potato game, because this is how the Fed basically suck the liquidity out. Increase the rates. Let me use a hex analogy. It's like your APY is going up. Your APY is going up, you're incentivized to buy more hex, because if you buy more hex, then you can stake it for the higher yield. Same thing with the bond market here. API goes up, you sell the garbage assets, you buy the DXY, which is the dollar index, which then create this strengthening over here, because you're giving the market incentives to buy the garbage. And you need to do that, because if not, your currency start to lose value, and then people start to lose faith. You guys understand? This is how everything is connected. This is what generates this pump over here. This pumps because people are buying the dollar. They buy the dollar because they're getting a higher yield. And yes, 2% or 188 is laughable, but we're talking trillions of dollars. And a spike like this is massive amount of money to make this thing go up like that. The same thing we had over here. And this is my signal to tell me, oh my God, they're rock pulling right now, slowly but surely. This is a weekly chart. It doesn't happen overnight, but the trend is clear. And this is what happened in 2017, 2018.
Yeah, and the chart on Nasdaq is also very extended. I mean, since all the initial money printing, there's a lot of room basically for downside when considering the price chart on Nasdaq. I mean, it's been in a bull market since basically July of 2010 or sometime maybe around 2009 since the 08 crash, but the moving averages like the last couple months or so, it's still very extended right now. And there and I've noticed there's a lot of I don't hold any, like I don't really hold any stocks, but I still view them as a reference point to see you know what the state of the market is, what is the confidence. And there's a lot of very speculative stocks that did well during basically all the money printing that are basically in bear markets bleeding out, and they look similar to charts of altcoins in the crypto market. It's like literally almost looking at the same price chart. So
this is exactly what they are. They're literally pump and dump altcoins. Literally, again, I read a stat. It's some staggering number, like 45% or almost 50% of stock market are just like zombie company, meaning they don't have any revenue that's actually worth talking about. They don't make any money. They just, and then literally they just use as a pump and dump. And then every now and then they tell you, hey, we're thinking about doing this and thinking about doing that. And if you didn't know crypto, you wouldn't guess that this is the same garbage that shitcoin do. They promise something they can't do, and then come in with your money. We'll create a fake pump, and then we hope that you come in, and then we're just trying to lock you in.
Yeah, very good. A very good example of that is do you guys know the well, I mean there's the billionaire Richard Branson who had his their stock price is just it's like the worst looking price chart I think I've ever seen. It's so bad. So and that's happening across so many companies now. Through a lot of various like indexes in equities. So and the problem is like the equities market, it's there's so much money in there that if you have like even a 5 to 10% down draw in equities, it drags down. It's like the same thing where USD money got harvested. Like somebody basically took I like the marbles in the jar analogy that Richard, this is a very early stream, I think, on Discourse Syndicate, but he was describing marbles in a jar. So that's just the way I think of the pot of gold, so to say. And like somebody basically took a lot of that, and then now the rest of the market's fighting over what's left remaining. So a 5% drop in stocks is very bad on crypto. Like it could cause 20 to 30% drops in crypto.
Easy.
Well, it's kind of interesting that all these stock companies, less than half of the companies listed are profitable. And in addition to that, many of them are borrowing money and buying back their own stock
just to keep afloat. If not, and this is their favorite tactic that they do. They go crying. And this is why the sad part of using socialistic tactics. It's like, please help us, bail us out. We have to help all these employees and this and that. When the reality is, and it's sad because I've worked at those companies, I know what time it is. That's what they tell the market, but inside they don't give a fuck. They're cutting people left and right.
Yes.
But then they're saying we're doing this for the people. Then they get the money, and then they still cut the people that they said that they needed to protect to begin with. This is why I got a problem with that, because someone goes, "Oh, but you don't understand, Karim." It's like it's not just about capital. Like, no, bro, you don't get it. They're using this as a tactic. They
don't give a shit. Let's be real. They don't.
They don't. And this is why it takes time somebody needs to explain it to them, because again, it's called a marketing tactics for a reason. They say, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that. But then the reality is, for efficient markets, you need to let the bad go bad and go bust. It actually frees the people so they can go work at a better company. I know it sounds crazy, but it's like you get stuck about a dead-end job, not realizing that, no, bro, you need to go. Because then like the blessing wants to give you the new opportunity, but you're not seeing it because you're just so caught up with the bad, even though deep inside, it's a dead-end job. You know that it's not getting you anywhere. Now, I'm not saying you have to quit overnight and be rushed. No, I'm like, you should prepare your exit, but at some point you got to be in tune with yourself and be like, hey, what are we doing? Like, where's this thing going? Because if not, they're just gonna keep using you. Company will always pay you the least amount of money that they can get away with it. Let me tell you again. They will pay you the least amount of money that they can to get away with it. That's why I've always loved being in commission, working hard, whatever, being driven, because I get to command my price because I work hard. The same way I say, listen, if I don't get the job done, don't pay me. It's okay. But if I do, this is my price. Pay me or not. But when you pay me, you get a guaranteed results. So the company never lose with me because they pay me a lot of money, but it's for guaranteed result. I provide a certain level of certainty in the results and in the outcome. Some people think, oh, I'm so smart, I'm getting this free money from this company, not realizing that, no, you're cheapening yourself. You're not realizing how valuable your time could be. You could be learning another skill. You could be learning, again, like we're talking crypto and stuff like that, be in the community, make a better investment, free yourself out. You get caught up to this job 9 to 5 just because they give you free food. Literally, I had a friend tell me, like, I'm there because they give us free food. I mean, are you? and that's fine, but then you complain about why you can't move up in certain things and you can't afford certain lifestyle, and then you tell us that we're lucky with this, with that. No, we had to burn the shit too. At some point, we had to say, you know what? It's do or die, but this is worth a shot. And if I got to bet on something, I bet on myself.
And understand this, they're always willing to cut an employee before they cut their own personal bonuses. So don't forget that.
Because understand, the cuts will be made regardless. They just use it as a marketing tactics. They'll get the money. They'll still cut. Sometimes they have to cut, literally. Good company cut too. That's also a fact. Because you got to ask yourself, I used to run departments. So we either all go out of business or we cut the minimum amount that we have to cut because we have to cut. And then we can save the 70%. Tough. Again, running business is not always fun. You know what I mean? And the funny thing is, oftentimes you're making money last because you're the last guy on the ship.
Karim, I would disagree because to run a business, it's not tough. You got t-shirts, that's your own business, right? It does it automatically, bro. So, you don't need to, business nowadays has changed a lot,
Because they're productive.
I don't want to fire any of my t-shirts.
They're so loyal, right? Like, why would you?
That's why I'm willing to pay a premium for them. I'm market buy. Why? Because I value the work that they do. You see, that's another trick too. Pay your employee well. Good business pay their employee well because it's about employee retention. Because guess what? In this desperate market, good employee are the first one to go. It's a little frustrating, but you got to be an abundant mindset. I've had people that I've trained over the year. They did very well, and then they left. But you got to be happy for them. Say, hey, you got a better opportunity. We have a real heart-to-heart conversation. I say, you know what? It sucks to lose you, but if I were you, I will still go because this is a better opportunity and you have one, and I cannot match you. I cannot. This is because I talked to my boss too, and I'm like, hey, this guy is great. We need to keep him. But then they tell me, well, Karim, that's all we have. So, then I go back and I'm like, well, you know what? Go. Maintain the relationship. If it sucks, you can always come back. I got you. But I'm not going to be like, oh, because some managers do that. I fucking hate it. They'll try to scare you and be like, oh, you're not going to be successful unless you're with me and all that bullshit. That's terrible. Because you know what? They're not on the field. They're using you to do the work while they're just sitting behind the desk. Fucking hate that. I like to lead from example. Be out there with the people. So then they will know what if you're there for them or if you're just trying to manipulate. And sometimes they stay just because they like you. And it's not that, hey, you know what? I make more money over there, but I'm being taken care of over here. So I stay. And that's cool. But if they don't, that's fine too. You need to learn how to be happy for other people. But you give them the real talk. That's always what I do. I say, hey, you got this or you got that.
You guys want to talk about some game theory here with the OA?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm trying to figure out like when and how much is the origin address, quote unquote, going to sacrifice for Pulse X? I think that there's still probably some time because the OA doesn't need probably more than 95% of the supply. So we could probably do the math there. If they're coming in with like, let's say at least 14 billion, 14 pulses, 14 billion. That's what they went in with Pulse. But will they go in with much more? A lot more. They could go way higher than that.
Maddie, it could be a ratio like you talked about.
The OA could have known, just like some of us did, that the pulse would be the first sacrifice, and then that there would be another sacrifice further down the road. And if I was, playing my cards right, I might look at this, this game, whether it's Richard or whether it's somebody else, but the OA, might own 95% of the supply of Hex, which is like $100 billion or $200 billion or something like that worth of Hex. And to me, I don't really care if I get diluted by 14x or by 200x. And I think the most important thing to consider for how hard the OA will go in, how much they'll sacrifice, probably has to do with, do we believe that popular voting is going to be the best DAO for the incentive token, which will, through Hart's law, bring over value because it will bridge liquidity. It'll probably incentivize bridging liquidity between ETH and Pulse, or maybe because of Hart's law, like you don't want to do that, because then if the ETH market goes down, you kind of want to have each token paired to itself so people can yield farm. So we're getting into like different threads here, but just kind of the first part is, does the OA want the responsibility of technically having the most votes in the DAO? Or will, maybe the OA will not always vote in the DAO. Maybe the OA will have the right to do, a 14x or a 200x, vote against what everybody else is thinking. But that'll be a really cool mechanism for the OA to like wait and see what people are voting for how to use the liquidity token, and then adjusting that as needed to get some of the balance between like decentralized and centralized planning. What are your guys' thoughts?
I think you hit it right on the nail. I think the OA will definitely go in very, very heavy. I think much, much heavier than it did in Pulse Chain. I think maybe 4 times more. So I think like maybe 50 billion or so, maybe something like that. For the reason, like you said, right? It will only need to step in when it needs to step in. And majority of the time, it'll just let the community do what it does, just like it did with Hex, right? I think it still act like a safety mechanism, right? So make sure like nobody tries to screw with us. Nobody tries to do any funny business, stuff like that. So I do expect the OA to go big, and it's definitely much bigger than it ever did. So yeah, 94, 95 billion. Wow. Yeah, it could do that, honestly. If we don't know who the OA is, right? But this ecosystem, you think about it, they're not going to build an ecosystem this advanced, this beautiful, and then let outsiders come in and just mess with it and ruin it to the ground, right? Like they have a responsibility to make sure this goes as far as possible, right? If we're talking about freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of movement, you do not let this crash like a year later, right? For being legitimate in these type of things, right? Like you want to make sure like it's protected. You let it do its thing. You don't put rules and this and that and control everything. But when you see something turning bad, you step in and you control that narrative, and then you just keep it moving. So, Maddie, I think you hit it on the nail. I think it's going to go heavier, way heavier.
I think a couple simple things, and to me, it's related to that. But to me, it's just much more simple and much more common sense, right? It is also, or it is to me kind of like for profit in a sense where it's just a community member, just like me and just like everybody else. I have a tendency to understand and know what they're going to do, because I look at it like, what would I do in my best interest while supporting my own asset? The same analogy of, again, making the pie bigger, getting a smaller percent of a bigger pie. It's just math, because math brings you that clarity that somebody that applies proper math and calculation will do what's in their best interest, and by doing so, actually it's in the best interest of the ecosystem. So number one, defense mechanism. Make no fucking ifs or buts about it. It's going to happen. Minimum 95%. That's all you need to do. Put a ratio to it. We sacrificed first time around 700 mil. Hey, we dropped 14 billion. We get to 2 billion. Do the math. Do a 95% ratio. We got it all. We can sack when we need to sack. We need to get when we need to get, because you also want to protect against the shenanigans on the Pulse chains. Because what if some community members fall for some scam? A lot of Pulse get scammed, stolen, you name it. And then now those Pulse are out there acting nefariously, being utilized to do all kinds of other stuff. You need to be able to act to protect that. Because again, a baby needs to learn how to crawl first, then learn how to walk, and then he can go run on his own. And you know what I mean? You're 18, you leave the house, and you can do whatever you want. But right now, because again, we can sit here and talk about how people need to protect themselves, and as they should, but then there's always going to be those people that are going to let their greed take the best of them. So defense mechanism to me is the number one thing, period, full stop, end of story. It's already rich. It doesn't need ammo, but it needs to protect ecosystem. That's number one. Number two, provide liquidity, as we talked about, because you want to provide premium experience. We said PulseX is going to be the premium experience, better than anything else you have ever seen, to attract new customers. Hey, come play here. It's the best in town. Best liquidity, best. No, it's somebody. It's a big house, so that's why there's a resonance here. But yeah, providing that liquidity so that you don't even waste your time going on the other fork stuff, because there's going to be no liquidity over there. This is going to be the best play in town. As much as I don't like trading, traders are useful for some other things. So, and they like to trade when there's high liquidity. Somebody got to eat that impermanent loss, right? Ha ha ha. Create the volume, create all this other stuff. The same way in Hex, somebody had to give away your Hex, and then while the price goes up 1,000%, 1,000x, right? So all those things are combined to be able to do that. And as far as voting, most often than not, I don't even expect it to vote at all. It's just more like if it gets really, really bad, then yeah, because I've seen that, when other get a proof of stake project, like, EOS back in the day, Block One at the time, at least the smart thing that did, they only stepped in if they have to. But they just let community run what they run, because community is good enough to do what they're going to do. Now, if you got people that come in, again, play shenanigans, or miners that come in, don't act in the best interest of the community, can be reached, they don't care, just buy the coin, and then they're just trying to like, hey, we're going to just cycle liquid coins via, delegating off the market and not even providing any value to the ecosystem and just dumping the price every time they get those things. Well, OA could vote on some of the actors, some of the delegators that are doing great for the community, support those people, because I've seen it. If you do a good job, community vote for you, supports you. Next thing you know, you become self-sustainable. You may not have a lot of money, but you're running your nodes well. You're not getting slashed. You're doing the right thing, and you just need community support. I've seen it. Small validator can become big if you provide value. So that could be useful.
I think so this person is giving maybe helpful information, saying that it was the God whale that did 13.5 billion. But listen, the OA needs to sacrifice for PulseX. That's how the game theory works out in my mind. So if somebody wants to argue with me on that, then they can be more specific. But you do not want
and Godwell already
the masses
did about,
voting on how to dole out the incentive token. Please, OA, or whatever whales know the OA, or whatever people are contributing to the game theory chat, like whatever it is. Like, I think it's an important question for for everybody to consider and to give their input to Richard. And I think that, Richard has expressed his opinion about how popular voting doesn't always lead to good things in society. And that's why I'm kind of betting or, kind of guessing and predicting that
can be simply explained, Maddie, is because a lot of the time their opinion is skewed because of the money. Because unfortunately, popular vote doesn't work in this case, because it starts well until somebody comes and create a bad incentive. Hey, vote for me. I'm going to give you a kickback and this and that. And next thing you know, they no longer care about the vote itself. They're just caring about, hey, how much you going to pay me for my vote? This is why it turns out bad. It's not that if you have, in a balance of probability, good actors and good people that want to vote and they're not negatively financially incentivized, then they can make better decision. The moment you're in that low vibrational state, or you need money, your vote is almost skewed to begin with, because you're susceptible to potentially, for lack of a better word, be bribed. I mean, that's what it means. So somebody needs to be able to look at the checks and balances and make sure that, hey, is this in the best interest of the ecosystem, and not just make a vote just because my brain is telling me I need money.
Yeah, and yes, and I think that if we really look at this again, Richard pointed out, oh, the end of the sacrifice phase is a 10x. So even if we're waiting until then to see, still 140 billion is coming in at a 14 billion value with the bond curve, I guess. So yeah, I think it's at the end of the day, I think that makes a lot of sense, that there's still plenty of time to figure it out before February 22nd or 24th or whatever.
Yeah, and let's not forget that the hex price is higher than when it was back then too, because that's what I want people to understand. Like, it could sacrifice whatever it needs to sacrifice. I think we're always going to have that 95% ratio, and I think that it always does it at the end, rightfully so it doesn't sway the volume bonus from the other participants, so they can still play that game. Volume bonus is not affected, to really show that, hey, you actually have a chance. Meaning, if you put more than somebody else, you will get a greater volume, because OA has multiple addresses. If you were to sacrifice during the volume phase, it's going to kick a lot of people in the top 100. They won't even get their bonus. So, and that's being considerate to that. But then after that, it's just the defense mechanism, just to make sure things go according to plan. And again, it is a for-profit business. For all the good that he has done and will be doing, OA needs to get benefit from that. Like, I don't understand why that even would be an issue. So
the other thing that I look at is, like, if we look on,
it's like saying Elon Musk shouldn't be paid for all the work that he has done.
Yeah, Richard mentioned that.
Don't bring him into this
too. You know
what I'm saying? Like, come on.
Like,
yeah, go ahead,
I just hate that fact when people create a business, like, the owner should not make any profit at all. Like, they're the one who came up with the business. They're the one who sacrificed everything. They're the one who came up with the idea, did everything. They don't deserve 50%, 51%, 52% of the total, share or whatever you want to call it. Like, come on, guys. Like, that's ridiculous. I hate when people.
And let's not forget, it's being diluted over time too. Again, like we've seen that, Microsoft and other places, because as more participants comes in, it allows that dilution while the pie is just getting bigger. So,
and if we look at the whale behavior, if you go to pulsexlead.com and you follow the link, so you can see the top wallets, which ones sacrificed for Pulse from the same wallet. Whales like to show off what they're doing. A lot of them in the top 100 have sacrificed similar amounts or even more for PulseX than they did for Pulse. Now, what that tells me, because the majority of those whales got in before the OA got in and did not necessarily know that they would be diluted by 14x, they still wanted to play for Pulse X. They still believed in the system. And if that's not something that happened on chain that really surprises you, that shows you that this market is maybe different than other markets, because whales are normally slitting each other's throats.
Yeah.
Not working together.
Especially when you have poor token design. You see, that's the point. Because the way I look at it is that they probably sacrificed more because they knew at some degree that OA would definitely get involved. Maybe not to the extent of 95%, but they knew that, hey, we need a small sheriff in town just to make sure, the shenanigans doesn't happen too bad. Because again, those original people, just like the original Hexican sacrificing, they want the new product to do well, because that's the ethos of what we're creating to begin with. And we're most likely are going to be here for the long term. We're like, the last man standing, right? Everybody can jump ship. We're going to be here. We sink with the ship, or we just make it to the other side of the ocean, which I know we will. So those are the kind of investors that you want. In the big money markets and money investing, you've seen those things. Web3 can talk about it, like those rounds and whatever. Some big firm only invest if they know other big firm invest. Like, it sounds crazy, but they're like, oh, they got skin in this game? Okay. Maybe they see something I didn't see, but I trust their investment team do their due diligence. But that's what it means. You need to see that. Because if not, they'll be like, wait a minute. You don't have a big stake in this? Then why should I get in there? See, you got to look at it like that. You got to look at who got more to lose.
Yeah, and I think the whales, like in Hex in general, I think they're very happy of the job the OA has done recently. It took care of them. It took care of the community. It protected everyone bags. Doesn't matter if you're a mega whale or not. It protected you too. So what makes you think they're not going to be happy if
Yeah.
they do it in Pulse Chain or Pulse X, right?
And always
These people-
allowing you to get a higher yield. Let's not forget
exactly.
that.
Yeah, right. Like it didn't need to do any of that, right? It did something remarkable, and it continues to do it. So, what makes you think it's not going to take care of everything else? Like, come on, it's silly.
And that's just proper business. It's not a handout. It's just you doing what's in your best interest. In a properly designed system, everybody can do what's in their best interest while still work together, because it is your best interest. Bang,
Yeah.
bang.
And so, like, breaking news,
Uh-oh.
I would say, like, Karim is a whale in Hex. I would say that Hex 19 is a whale in Hex. Like, you heard it here first. The whales work together. And
There you go.
the reason I say that is because
the dolphins, we protect y'all too.
The original system of ranking everybody, as a league or a whole exponential step different from each other, is that was started by Bitcoin, but the stake wrap, pioneered this for Hex and for people who are actually time locking their money. And with the amount that the OA owns of even the T shares, I think everybody is kind of at one level higher than they think they are.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's that's up to you to decide. But
especially you're getting a copy soon. So
yep, that's gonna be that's why while the opportunity is there, make sure you're ready for for the copy, so that you're not buying at higher prices. So this is the opportunity to do so, because as Karim, Marco, Maddie were mentioning all the bullish reasons for Pulse X, for Pulse, like regarding the OA. It's going to be an amazing system of incentives that exist across this whole ecosystem. And you already have proof, right? Like, it's already worked massively for Hex. So, considering all the slander that Hexicans had to deal with was completely it was all nonsense. Like, it completely nonsense. It was really bad. Yeah, it was so bad. And
threats, reveal locations. Like, it was bad, man.
Yeah. So it puts in perspective, like the communities that go through that, like this community is it's going to be very successful again this year for 2022. And you see it just while we're on stream, like the price on Bitcoin just dumped again. So it's just
you can't make this shit up. This is why I love it. It's recorded week over week. We can come here and have this conversation. It's like, hey, look, we're not telling you, we're showing you.
It's funny, right? So, like you was talking about before, you're gonna get copies on both sides, right? I have a buddy of mine that he's really just shy of becoming a dolphin, but I think he needs 200 T-shirts or more to reach it. And he's trying to get as much as he can, right? He's done very well for himself. Shout out to you. You know who I'm talking about. And I told him he thinks it's impossible to get the extra 200. So I told him, look, do your best if you can, of course. Try to get the extra 100. Because when you do get the copy, it's almost like you got that free 100 on one side. You combine both accounts, you are a dolphin.
It's not even
you are a
like
dolphin.
It is.
Like price, like people forget this. Like the price of Hex will be different both sides, but the payout itself will be basically really similar or the same. Like that doesn't change, guys. So you got
Dolphin. Actually, I'm gonna have to kind of disagree there.
Yeah, sure.
So Dolphin is based on what percentage of the total supply of shares you own.
Yeah.
And so you're not gonna increase by getting your double, because that doubles the total amount. So you're gonna maintain your position there. But what's important?
What I'm saying is, if you take, let's say, your E Hex and P Hex, and you kind of think about like you have, and let's say hypothetical, he has 500 here, 500 here. And let's say a dolphin was to 1,000 T-shirts. Technically,
no, but the 1,000 T-shirts is based on what percentage of the total supply of shares.
Maddie, what he's trying to say is that you'd be a dolphin in the old system, assuming you only had one. So in other words, if 500 T-shirt right now,
you would because it's based on the percentage of the total shares.
No, I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is that if you have 500 T-shares and let's say, I mean, scratch that. Let's say you have $1 million, and to be a solid dolphin, maybe you need $2 million. Okay.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe when it launched after the 2-3 day, whatever, Hex on Pulse and Hex on whatever, it's going to match parity very, very soon. I've explained it many times. I firmly believe
so too.
So because of that doubling, all of a sudden he gets $2 million. Now, compared to other Hexicans who also got the double, yes, you're still below them, but nonetheless, you just now have $2 million.
Yeah, they're not gonna move up in rank, but the idea of that many T-shares will be almost like being a dolphin. That's what I'm basically meaning.
In
Yeah.
system,
For the
past,
dollar amount, like
Gotcha.
that would really make a difference, wouldn't it? And I think the other thing to consider though, is that over time, you're actually, if you're a longer staker, you're going to move up. It's going to take less T-shares to become a dolphin. So a dolphin is based on what percentage of the total T-shares you own. And so as the total number of T-shares deflates, it's only going to take 800. It's only going to take 600 T-shares.
Well, hold on. 600 or something that costs more money to create. but yes, it costs.
But if you're a longer staker, so the people who are so I saw this once where there was a dolphin that was staked for an average of 1 year versus a dolphin who staked for an average of 10 years. And they're both dolphins, but the value of the money printers is way different because that one person locked in their money and now they're going to have to buy it at a higher T-share rate. And so if we think of, you're having a ratio of the total supply of T-shares, that's important to remember that the T-shares are deflationary. So you're gaining rank that way as well.
Yeah, it's called eating the pool from the inside. And this is the reason why I firmly believe it's a mathematical fact in my brain that I will be a whale. And I told Maddie, well, in the sense of the sticker app thing, I'm a whale in training, Maddie, remember? Yes. So because my average is 13 years, those are not just regular shark T-shirts. Those are like maxed out and always be maxed out. And as people just fall off, can't hang no more, you end up being the last man standing or with whoever's there. And I'm glad that some people who listen over the last year or so figured that out and did some calibration, because it goes quick. Again, T-share is now almost 20,500, which is more than a double. We doubled since inception already in 2 years ish. And remember, it moves exponentially, which means mathematically the next doubling should be happening ideally within less than 2 years. Unless the behavior completely changed and everybody listen to us.
The next doubling of what?
That would be great, but we'll see. The trend.
The next doubling of what?
Of the share rate acceleration. Because it moves at a compound
that's going to be
rate.
Cool to see.
So if it took us 2 years or 2 something to do 10,000 hex per T-share to 20,000 hex per T-share, following a compounding curve, the next doubling, basically going from 20,000 to 30,000 hex per T-share, should happen in a less time frame than the previous 10,000 move. Does that make sense? So that the chart could continue to follow a compounding effort. And of course, the remaining last 5 years and 3 years are going to be the most insane arcing, but the chart is already starting to do the move. If you go to Apex that win, you can see it. It's at the bottom of the parabola, but it's already starting to arc, and it's going to go faster and faster, especially as the USD price goes higher, because that's the secret weapon of the T-share rate. It's the USD dollar. Oh, Karim, you went up 50 points today. It's no big deal. Yeah, it's no big deal when it's a penny or less than a penny, but when it becomes $1 and it moves up $50 every day, you're gonna start thinking twice before you stake too short, because by
multiply that by the total number of T-shares that there are. That's how much you need to regenerate that T-share. And it's going up 50 hex per day times 11 million T-shares, or less than that now. So that's what, quick math, that's what, 500 million. Sorry,
do that again. What are you trying to do?
So 11 million T-shares times 50 hex per day So that's 55.
Okay.
Sorry.
No,
Math
come on,
on
buddy.
screen.
Don't give up.
I can't do it.
times
It's
one,
11 million times 50.
50.
Yeah,
right?
you're I think you're right.
550 million hex
550.
per
Yeah.
day every time it moves up 50 hex
Mhm.
that the total system needs to regenerate itself, those T-shares.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
It's gonna
why,
move fast.
Yeah.
It's gonna move
yeah,
very fast.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
moving fast.
And let me give you
Yeah.
another quick map, which is even more aggressive. I want people to visualize how gangster this is going to be. Imagine, once again, imagine hex is $1. Same analogy that I gave before with the T-shirt. But watch this. Let's say we're going to put some statics number here. Let's say share rate only goes up by about only 50 points a day, okay? Which it has done many times before, right? In share rate term, okay? Everybody follow?
Yep.
When hex is $1, that's $50 increase. You
Mhm.
follow me? And again, very key, that's without price appreciation. I'm talking about the price just stays at $1 and the share rate just keep cooking that 50 every day, right? Now watch this. The price never moves. I'm gonna really hit people's brain.
Yeah.
Price never moves for a whole 30 days. What does that mean? That means share rate went up $50 every single day for 30 days, right? Quick math. 50 times 30, you add a 0, that's 500. You multiply by 3, that's 1,500. That means for every single T-shares, and let's say you had just 10 T-shares, you need an extra $1,500 for every extra T-share that you stake that just got burned that you need to recreate. And if
For
let's
that
say
day,
you only
too.
had 10,
Man.
that is, again, that's $15,000
When you're
that
doing
you're
that
gonna
per
need.
month.
Let me say it again. $15,000 that you're gonna need at the end of the month just to get back what you basically lost. Because I'm talking in share rate changes. Let me do the math again. It moved 50 points a day. Hex is at $1, so it's $50 per day. $50 times 30, it's 1,500. Okay.
For one T-shirt, 1,500. Yep.
Yeah, 1,500 in share rate appreciation. You need $1,500. Now, let's say you had 10 T-shirts. Okay.
15K.
Exactly. 15K. And then this is what most people haven't figured out yet. It's going to get to an inflection point where the daily interest, because 10 T-shares is still a good amount. I mean, it's like, our current price is like 50 grand, right? Ish. So, but what I want people to understand is you were bragging about your 30-day stakes, 50 grand rotation. I'm getting $2,000 or $3,000 worth of interest. I'm being nice. Let's say you're getting 2% a month, okay? Even though it's not going to be that too long. But let's just say you were getting $2,000-$3,000 in interest. You're getting $2,000-$3,000 in interest per month, but it costs you 15 grand in opportunity cost just to get back what you lost. And that's why most people don't do the math. This is where deflation is going to become insane, because by the time it really hits people's brain, when the numbers are bigger, I'm already done the math since a year and a half ago, because I use number based on future valuation, because I live in the future. I do not live in the past or the present. I live where my state ends 15 years from now. 15 years from now, hex is at least triple digits. And I'm looking at how many T-shirts I'm going to lose. No, hell the fuck no. It's not happening. Not under my watch. So you need to literally understand how fast T-shirt acceleration is going to become, because you're going to be left behind so fast that it's going to get to a point where even if you're day one Hexican and you mess this up, the history won't remember you. You will be like the famous thing Manny like to put sometimes, the Bitcoin guy, the 6 penny to $8 or whatever analogy. That can happen in T-shirt too. You're still going to be in the ecosystem, but you're going to be dropping rankings so fast that you won't even understand, because you fail to understand what you own.
Or you will be somebody who comes into the system and stakes longer than the average user and benefits from this system that is going to keep up with itself, because how the interest math works out should be that if you stake longer than average, and if after the 6 years that the current average is, if the average is still 6 years, then
which it will not be, I'm telling you right now,
then you can rebuy your T-shares.
By the end of the month,
so
I expect
you might have to stake 8 years or 10 years in order to hit the average, to hit what the average is in 6 years from now or 7 years from now. But as long as you're an average length staker or longer, you may be able to rebuy your T-shares and be earning so much interest and passive income for yourself, which is the other side of the coin. So if you're way shorter than average, then then you might be missing out due to the inflation or due to the T-share rate going up.
No, Mike, you are missing out. This is a mathematical fact, and I say that on purpose because what Maddie is saying is correct, but that's a big if that most people missed and they're not going to do, because this is where the cognitive dissonance kicks in. A lot of those people already have a lot of hex. So for them, they're like, oh, it's no big deal. I'm just doing a 30-day stakes. I have a lot of money, so therefore I'm going to get a high yield at the end of the month. But they're failing to understand that readjusted to the percentage of the stack that they're doing, they're averaging a burning rate of, because I'm being nice, guys. I did the math based on 10 T-shares, 15 grand. Imagine when you have 100 T-shares, 500. Because I've talked to some of them. It's like, bro, you're fucking up. Because what's happening is that at the end of the rotation, when they do that, I've monitored a few stakes. They lost 30 T-shares, 50 T-shares because they're not able to compensate. And by the way, I'm being nice. That's if also they don't actually cash out. Because if you cash out some of it too, it might even be even less. You get less T-share from cashing out. Plus the fact that you're continuously staking short. You're getting that early yield. You're getting the early marshmallow, but you're losing so much on the long term to the point that you'll get to a point where you're going to drop a class and you will just never be able to catch up. Even if you restake everything else, you will still be below because you just compounded in a negative way too long. So I'm saying that as good faith for them to wake up to realize, hey, just become better with your finance so you can find out what is it that you're doing. Because a lot of them, they're just taking 30 days due to laziness. They're not really doing the math, but they don't understand that you're being burned right now. Yes, you're getting that money up front, you're getting that yield, but you don't understand what you're losing in the back end. Because
and what's crazy, Karim?
Yeah, it's true.
That's 15 grand. At 100 T-shares, that's $150,000 opportunity cost. Okay, 1,000 T-share, aka Dolphin, that's $1.5 million opportunity cost per month. Because you'll be rotating that 500 T-share stake, 5,000 every month, walking away with your 20 grand, thinking like a king, leaving a $1.5 million on the table. I don't do that kind of stuff. My brain won't.
What's crazy too is that, let's say it does hit that dollar mark, right? And we're going based off your math and stuff. Remember, the FOMO of the dollar, so many people are going to emergency and stake like crazy.
Oh my God.
So the rate of the T-share will rack it up in just in one day, actually 200-300. Just don't know. It has happened before. So
I've said it before. We're going to have a day when we're going to get hit $1 billion. Sadly, when this thing happened to Hex 19, like the payout was insane. That's going to become the norm 5 years from now, 7 years from now. I know what they're going to do. They're going to hit that button. I am telling you, they're going to hit that button. I'm going to be there to collect.
People are already hitting the button, Yeah. Think about the past month and a half. Well, I think was it almost a month already where the payouts almost was 6 above.
That's because John Wick good accounted the OA and increased things mostly probably.
And then you see every day, here and there people are emergency at stake. But what I do love that I see the stats is more people are buying big chunks of Hex and doing 15 years instantly. I don't know if you guys noticed that too, but more and more people are literally buying $200,000-$300,000 worth of Hex and just tossing out 15 years, no question about it. But I think they understand the game, right? They understand that they might be a squid right now, but in the next 5 to 10 years, they could be the dolphin because
someone already look at the account.
So
let's make a Twitter poll right now in the chat. How many of you lately have been watching your account? I mean, it's a little harder the higher you are, but even at the shark level, I've moved up a couple of things. I was like, oh shit, I thought this would never happen, but it's happening. So some people tell me, I move up 50 points this month. And by the way, we're going to gamify that thing too with version 2. It's going to be insane. Good. People are moving up the rank. I am telling you, it is happening right now, live as we speak. Shout out to my boy Jeff Jean in the chat. That's a great comment. The thirstier you are for quick cash, the drier your pocket will be. Drink wisely, my friends. See?
Put that on a shirt.
Right what up, Jeff? Good. So that's important because it's funny enough, me and Jeff, we had that conversation. I'm like, bro, I'm not trying to make you money. I'm trying to change your life. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah. We
used to delay gratification. He used to work with me too in the solo game too. We used to delay gratification. Nothing has changed. 15 years, nothing. We're not even going to hit 50. What, you think this life ends like this? No, we got another 50 years to go, minimum. And that's not if we don't figure out longevity and some good stuff. Like we might get an extra 20 years, which means I'm running on probability to live 120 years. That'd be good. My goal is to get triple digits no matter what. But if I can get to 120, that'd be nice. So I got to plan for that. And you need those t-shirts, man. They move fast.
What could scare a lot of people is this. You know, we're over here streaming, have a good time. We all got t-shirts and stuff like that. But there'll be a day where you might run out of t-shirts, and you might be part of the community, but you're not part of the ecosystem of the system itself.
Yep.
You have no more payouts, you know. So there could be a time where certain friends and families, you know, they won't listen to you, and they're gonna run out. And when they run out, they're gonna be like, "Are we getting paid tomorrow again?" Like, no, it's over for you, you know, unless you go buy more, rebuy, and it's take longer. So people have to understand that. People think like this is gonna be forever ending. It's not. As long as you're in this system, you have bags out there and t-shirts there. Yeah, you're going to be in the system as long as you can. But once that t-shirt says 0 next to your name, it's over. You know, you're not in this anymore. So
yeah, you become a silent shell. And then that's about it. This is the reason why I spend so much time. And I had my favorite video with Maddie, spend an hour talking about the dream account and all the levels, so people to find themselves, because I don't want them to miss out. That is the true value. That is the true wisdom. Everybody loves the story when I say, hey, dream account used to pay $30. Now it's doing like, 15 grand, whatever. But the wisdom is I didn't lose any fucking t-shirts. I didn't even do it in and out. They just locked in. They become like good aged wine, or like fucking all my whiskey drinkers out there. You know what I mean? Like that Yamazaki, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the aging is what makes it pure and more valuable. Because no matter what you do, as much as I love them, I can only hold it for 15 years. Think about it. It's the most scarce assets in the universe. No, it's bound by time, and no matter what you do, 15 years is all you get. That stupid golden rock, you can have that thing for thousands of years. You can give it to your kids, but that original t-shirt, you can't even give it to your grandkids, technically, unless you already have them. But because it will be gone. But that productivity is really what's the key. So you want to slow that decay as much as you can, because as the also daily payout goes higher and higher, at $1 hex, bro. When we get there, dude, now we going what, 50,000, 60,000, then 100 grand a day. Then it's gonna, God will right now averages some stupid number. I think it's like $2 million daily payout, some stupid numbers like that. I mean, it's just, but the way you get there is you gotta keep the t-shirts, the money printers.
So, in long story short, Karim, so moral of the story is Karim's probably going to be the only human left with t-shirts 15 years out.
No, I know this couple of only one in the system. Fun game originals. I know we're going to be there.
Well, Karim, let me borrow a t-shirt, bro. Come on, man. I'll wash your yacht.
But funny enough, the t-shirt would cost 100 grand like this.
Yeah, bro.
It's just
scary, man.
Again, because it does what it does. Just add a couple of zero. See, that's what you got to do with those analysis. You just got to do, like, we all believe, or if we understand what Hex has done and what it could done, we casually love to talk about the extra 100x, 1000x, or 10,000x because we're so pre-viral right now.
Yeah.
But nobody really also understand the implication. We do another 10,000x, we get in the vicinity of Bitcoin, and oh my God, kumbaya, we're the best in the world. That's cool. But that also means that the T-share before share rate increase just did a 10,000x, which means you got to add 40, which means compared to current price right now, that means a T-share costs $50 million. and then you had the chance to own hundreds of those, and you just gave it away. Just
at $60 back then, easily, right? Like, how stupid was that?
Right? And at that level, I mean, if you thought it was stupid money, by the time it gets there, it's like, dude, like every day you could be buying a yacht on a day.
You know what's funny? I think it was around, what was it, January? Oh no, not January. I think like November or so, right? It's like you think about, oh my God, Hex was at this price. Let's say hypothetical was only like 6 cents, and we're over here thinking, oh, should I buy more? Is it too late? Is this and that? And now people are proud buying at 19 cents, right? And soon people are gonna be proud at buying 67 cents, and then $1.50, right? So like we psych ourselves out too quick, too soon, you know? Like I wish, honestly, dude, like I took out my 401k, I took out everything, my stocks, everything went all in as much as possible. I wish I would have done that. Everything I have spent on Hex to this day, and I continue to buy here and there. I wish I'd done that all on day one when I got a chance to. Right? Like just at my first buy, just take everything, just dump it in, because my level would have been way higher than what it is now. You know, I'm happy where I'm at, but you know, it's just we play ourselves, you know, and stuff like that. So you know,
and that's
think
what
about
it
the
means
bigger.
to build wealth, and that's what I want people to understand.
I yell at my wife every night.
Gratification for that. All the
My
babies.
wife, I'm like, come on.
There you go. There you go. I like this other comment here too, which is good wisdom. Also, what you will learn over time, Karim, is that proof of lifespan. So the key is to be aware of your greed. That's true. If you die,
can we say something about Hex 19 really quick?
Telling your story.
You know, Hex 19 is amazing, right? Like this gentleman, once again, people who are new, huge player in Hex. Unfortunately, you know, got hacked, lost a big amount. But look at the positive vibes. He's still here, dishing out knowledge, supporting the community, stuff like that. Like this is what this community is about. And Hex 19, like, much love to you, brother. Like what you went through and what you continue to do for us, and just this conversation, you being here, it's phenomenal, man. You know, thanks to you.
Amen. Shout out to Hex 19.
Yeah.
I promise you, your Hex will be put in good use.
Yeah. Because a lot of people will not, they wouldn't be able to handle that. They'll be calling Maddie every 24/7, like 7 days a week. Like, I need advice. I'm gonna do this and that. So,
well, he got in his 2.5 mile walk today.
Yeah, good job, man.
That's pretty amazing. Shout out to everybody who's taking care of their own health and you know, finding the chance to exercise and to eat right.
That's a big deal because Hex 19 is in his 80s. People don't know that. Like, it's not easy feat. I know people in their 20s, they can't even do 2 miles, even walking. Don't even ask running. They oh, you walking? Oh, bro, it's too far. I'm like, what do you mean? It's only 2 miles. Like, it's like, what? I can do 2 miles in like 8 minutes. Walk, just, you know, I don't know. But
yeah, of course, you, man. You're like everywhere, bro.
Bang bang. So
we've got a live survey in the live chat right now. People can vote and say, is your average stake length more or less than 6 years? And the choices are less than 6 years or more than 6 years. Now, this is telling us a little bit about how engaged the people who are watching on YouTube are compared to people who maybe aren't watching. And so it's interesting that currently with 126 votes, actually the number's going up a lot now because I'm talking about it. In the past 7 minutes, there's been 132 people voting, and there's about 60% of people who are more than 6 years and 38% of people that are less than 6 years. Interesting.
Yeah, one of my accounts, I'm literally shy of 11 years. Like right there. And then my other one's a little bit more. It's like 12 point something. So
13 and increasing.
Ooh, you beating me, bro.
I'm 10.
Yeah, look at that. You know, that's beautiful, guys. Like,
and the beauty is that you know, not only you're above average,
it'll be Quant Gang episode 1000 something, right? Or
Yeah.
even like 10,000 something by then.
Because the higher your yield goes because of the bonus T shares, you're actually not at 37%. You're way higher.
Yeah.
You're, you know, 50, 60. And again, the same way dips are in the game, penalties are in the game. You will be catching them all, because the difference between one guy staking and another guy staking almost same amount but different time frame, one guy missed some penalties, the other guy didn't, the API is going to be different because you happen to be at the right place at the right time, right? What is luck, right? Opportunity meets preparation. You don't understand that it's in the game and you're not prepared, you're not there, you missed it.
Yeah. You know, applying accordingly, guys, like, you know, for us, we're not saying you guys should be doing 10, 15 years. That's just our plan. That's our lifestyle. This is the way we're envisioning things. If you think it's best for you to only do 3 or 5, so be it. That's your plan, your family plan, right? But just don't forget, majority of the community is moving higher and higher. You know, the stake back. I remember back then it was like 4.8 years back then, and now it's like almost 6, if I'm not mistaken, or just above 6.
When I got in, and I wasn't even day one, it was like 2.72.
Yeah, like
average.
That, right?
Insane. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. You're messing up. And I'm like, and then from there, it just went on a almost parabolic ride. Because remember, that's average. That means, and we're still paying people literally almost $9,000 every week, literally paying them to build wealth. Yeah. Because this is why watching that video, that interview that I did with Marty and understanding the dream account and the levels to it solved.
Quantgang.com takes you right there.
Damn,
Big bang. Thank you. Because when you're watching that, when you understand, you have no excuse. Everybody can do it. It's just understanding that nobody say you guys take all of the money for that. It's just do the T-share preservation, create that, because I understand the system and you're underestimating how fast you're going to be diluted. Yeah. And I am not just telling you, I am showing you, and I'm breaking down the math like we just did just minutes ago. All I got to do is change the numbers because you don't see it because you think the hex price is whatever it is now. But then it quickly goes to $1, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I can't afford anything in terms of buying a T-shirt or whatever. When it's like, no, you had it before, you just squander it, not understanding fully what you hold. So if you haven't watched that video, go watch it, find your level. I don't advise you to be a level 4 like me if you're not prepared, but everybody can do level 1. It's very simple. Build wealth.
Yeah, I think it's just important, right? Like a lot of people nowadays, everything's visual, or we always like to guess in our head. You got to get pen and paper. You have to write this down, year 1 through 15, and think about your lifestyle. Think about the lifestyle you're doing now. If you made an extra 5-10 grand a month, would that change your life? If you made an extra $200,000 a year, would that change your life? Can you live that way? If you can, just stake out that long. Because let's say Hex does hit that dollar, and you stake, you put a certain amount of stakes beautifully across your ecosystem the way you want to do it. You can make it, right? Like you could live comfortably or beyond comfortably, but you have to write it down. You cannot play this guessing game. Because I even have friends where they had a decent amount of Hex, and I'm like, all right, guys, so this is what we're gonna do. You write it down, blah blah. And I had one or two of them. They're like, they just look up in the air and just randomly staking, just randomly making random stakes. And then I brought them to what was it, Graph Rocks, dot whatever it is, that website that shows you your own personal stakes. I look at it, I'm like, do you realize what you just did? Like, it's all over the place. And then realize like, oh, it's too late to change it, So, take your time. There's no rush in this, right? Like, build your ladder the proper way. Sit down with your spouse, and build that ladder, and you'll thank yourself later,
Take it seriously.
Yeah.
Exactly. When you have clarity, you have power. So staking doesn't become something that you fear. It's something that you look forward to.
Yeah.
And you create that discipline for yourself. So you're allowing to becoming the person that you want to become to earn, and then be able to not let the money get to you. You can know how to, deploy the capital.
Wave 3, what do you think?
Yeah, so the T-share rate and understanding that just understanding how that rate will change over time is really empowering, because Karim is right. Like if your average stake length is too short, you're gonna end up getting pushed down the ranks basically of the staker class. So that is a very important consideration. And then taking into account lifestyle choices, I would say the wealthiest people on the planet tend to do very well at not spending really their premier assets. That's always the case. That's the case. Like if you look at Karim, he's staked out to the max, like basically full on to the max, and then that is going to end up being it's going to be a lot, like it's going to be a crazy amount in 15 years, like ridiculous. So and it just puts in perspective, because like it's just the wealth building over time, like family, because now, okay, cool, so I now have this stake 15 years from now, and then when you start to consider legacy, then things tend to get like, maybe it just ends up going out another 15 years. Like those are some considerations, because it's like you have yourself now, figure out how to take care of yourself, and then now that you're time locked, you can now begin to figure out how you also want to include other people on your journey. And that's sort of the really empowering part, is the time locking, because the fact is, like most things people do, like the vast majority of everything that exists in the world, it doesn't actually progress like humanity forward. But when you have the ability to basically just go to your inner spirit and understand what that is, and start to understand like harder problems, like it could turn into something much more than just what initially was, like, let's say, an investment for the future. And then now that investment gave you that ability to begin planning ahead and start to understand like what your goals are and then start being able to solve actual problems that exist like in the world. So and I do believe that's going to take place within the Hex and Pulse communities. Like there's of course already the ongoing discussions with longevity. That is a very difficult engineering problem that Hexicans will have the wealth to pursue at some point in the future. And then with hex therapy that Maddie has on a weekly basis, that's also extremely important, because it rebuilds. It basically helps rebuild the or perhaps, like, you know, people go through difficult times in their life, and going through some sort of therapy that helps rebuild your character, and then be able to get back on a path where you can start to realize your spiritual self is, I mean, that is absolutely incredible. So I do foresee, like, I really do believe the best will come out of this community, and then that legacy is now continuing forward onto Pulse Chain, and it's going to keep just getting more and more viral as time goes on. Like, to me, it's absolutely amazing. So yeah, I guess I wanted to point that out, and very well said, I guess, Karim, Marco, and then pretty much everything the community is doing. Maddie doing amazing stuff. So, you know, this is only 2 years in, guys. Like, look at what you have around you 2 years in. The OGs understand this, that have been around for a while, but it's only going to keep getting more and more. The depth is going to be insane in another 2 years from now.
You want to know who I ran into this weekend?
Who?
Aubrey DeGray.
Hey,
it was in the donor appreciation event online, and I was live streaming it on YouTube.
I saw a picture of you.
The first thing, first person I ran into is like my bot bumps into Aubrey's bot. It's like, you know, the first 3 minutes of the conference or whatever, and so it was really cool to, you know, say hi to him. And he knows what's going on with the Hex conference. The Science Foundation is going to do another presentation at the in-person Hex conference. They might be live streaming in like Richard is for that, nice. But I've got confirmation from both of them. And then I also ran into Richard at the evening event and got him on video with Hodprol. Her and I were kind of working the room and meeting all the different scientists and people. Cool. And so if you are interested in longevity research, there's two 2-hour live streams from this past weekend that I have on my channel. And it's like, you know, the chief science officer and the front man himself, Aubrey, and all these different people, all the different scientists, the postdocs, the master's students. I mean, they were all there. They all got on camera and they wanted to know more about Hex and the amazing community that donated $27.5 million when their normal budget is $2, $3, $4 million a year. And so it's really cool to see how these two ideas are linked together. This idea of delaying gratification and paying your future self, and then also, you know, when we make breakthroughs, when we donate to medical research and longevity, and we make breakthroughs in longevity, then we're literally like taking care of our future selves in other ways, not just financially, but with our health. And that's really where saving your own mind. I pitched Richard on an idea. It's a sleep device that I wear a lot, that measures my brain waves and increases my slow wave sleep. And so I can see, but I can feel the difference. And so if you want to use the medical advances that exist now, you can learn about those too by checking out that live stream that we did over the weekend.
Awesome, man. You know, I tell people all the time, right? Generational wealth is cool, but generational health is even better, right? Whoa. Like I don't mind my family, my kids to be wealthy, right? That's fine. The world is going to be the world. I want them to live as long as possible in a beautiful, and I want them, God forbid, in the future to die naturally as you know, as possible they can, right? Like I want to see that. So that's my goal. Like a generational wealth is simple. I want generational health for my family. That's the main goal, you know. So
and I love that point. Another thing that I emphasize to the Sense Foundation is like, look, if Pulse Chain does even a 100x, like we're just the fractions of a percentage are going to support them at 10 or 100x their current funding levels. I mean, it's really incredible. And when we go back to these numbers that we saw last week from Hex McKenzie, awesome person on Twitter, there is how high can Pulse Chain go? Well, these other copies of Ethereum have gone up really high.
Yeah. Yeah. And ones that aren't, and it goes exactly to what Maddie mentioned. There's a lot of them, like the one on the bottom, Cello, like that's complete. I'm sure it's basically a complete ghost chain, and that did a 14x. So like it just puts in perspective like the what's actually possible. So I do think the upside is going to be much higher again than like I think a lot of people are sort of going to undershoot what is going to actually happen for Pulse Chain. So are
any of these in deflationary?
I don't believe so. Actually, I don't think any of them are. I don't think so.
Nope.
So literally, we are so early and so on the cutting edge that like this is going to be the first copy of Ethereum with an entire system state. It's also going to be the first copy of Ethereum that's deflationary.
Supply goes down, price go up.
Yeah, those particular tokens, Maddie, not some copies who are inflationary on the Ethereum blockchain, but yeah. All the key, what I call premium asset, like what you was talking about, are going to be deflationary. This is the reason why, once again, bringing in the wisdom. You do not need to trade. Don't get yourself wrecked. Yeah. Let the wealth come to you if you let it. If you don't, if you try too hard in life, it doesn't work. If you're a pressure salesman, it doesn't work.
That's minimum minimum 1.4 years.
It doesn't work. Just let it come to you. Know and trust the process. Know what it's going to do. You should be focused on improving the quality of your life, becoming a better person. That's the hidden power of staking. It frees your time to go do the inner work, all the important stuff, the becoming, so you can be better, right? You're called a human being for the reason. The real hidden value is the person you're becoming as the wealth accrue, because everything is connected. I love what
Correction, Luna and FTM are deflationary. I knew the chat would keep us honest, But
I think Luna is connected to Terra also. If they move one because it has a mechanism, it's kind of like
those are two of the three that went up the most, except for Solana, which has major VC backing and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
true deflation means that it only goes down forever.
So out of the deflationary ones, the average is 1400x or something. I'm talking about 100x over here. So like, no, I'm not living in an echo chamber. I'm not. Well, to some extent I am, but like, thank God I'm living in an echo chamber, because this is the echo chamber that does so
basically he's saying those who have some type of burn or deflation action are the one that actually pump the most, right? There you go. Point in case. Look at what. So we're being conservative here where we say, hey, 100x, because they all did that for the most part. And then you look at those FTM especially and Luna, I mean, the numbers are absurd. So, but again, the wisdom lies is it can do what it does, but do you gonna own any coin at that point?
That oh my God, 2000x, a year and a half.
How much of the move did you capture? Right? Did you sell too early, or did it's okay, I'm just gonna quickly just sell and then buy back, and then you get left behind? So it's like, be very, very careful. And a lot of us who owns that stuff already did very well in Hex, and we're about to get a copy. So ask yourself. Kind of like we talk the analogy with Rich is like, what would the person that already doing very well, that have a track record of delaying gratification, working on the important stuff, what would they do with the other stuff that's going to do tremendously well, right? You got to ask yourself, it's part of the game theory. The wealthier you become, the less you need to sell, because you don't need to, because it's just too much money. You take what you need, you don't create an unnecessary taxable event, and you move, because that's just what common sense is. understand that. It's very, very, very important.
I think the most important thing too, right, is you don't see Ethereum there, right? And Ethereum did what? I think 14,000x, and we're like a copy of Ethereum, but better in every single way, right?
And
So
true
come on,
vision.
man. Like 2.5 years it did. I think right, 2.5 years, if I'm correct. Ethereum did
Mhm.
that. So
Yeah.
with deflationary, etc., free
Yeah,
coins, all that
it
stuff.
went
Like,
from
oh my
10
god,
cents to $1,400 in 2.5 years.
I'm about to run around the block for a minute. This is getting exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Cold
Isn't it?
showers, everyone tonight.
That's right.
This is crazy, man.
And I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised if they end up being on top of the market caps 1, 2, and 3. Hex, Pulse,
Mhm.
Pulse Hex. I mean,
Well, there's going to be a shit ton of there's just going to be a lot of speculative demand that comes in from the air, like it's brilliant because there's going to be so many new users coming in exploring because they're literally getting free money of everything.
Mhm.
So what, like they have every incentive to do so. And you're going to hear people try to put like FUD saying like, oh no, they're not, like it's free money. They're going to use Pulse Chain. Like
Yeah.
with it's guaranteed they're going to use Pulse Chain, and then
And
that's
they
going
want
to
to
be
pay garbage fees.
yes, and they're going to be paying all kinds of the thing is that's the part where if you're just holding on to the coins, like you're benefiting from all that usage coming in, whatever it may be. So and it goes back to what Karim said, like there's going to be a ton of far more scams on Pulse Chain than actual good quality products that launch on the network. So if you're just looking to capture very sustainable and safe upside, then just buy Hex, Pulse, and Pulse X. That's
Yeah.
simple. And then maybe you make like a 2% speculation in something, but statistically it's what you're guessing is probably just not going to outpace Pulse X or Pulse. It's just not. It's the same thing on Ethereum. Like most of the
Frankly, man.
ERC20s tend to lose. They end up bleeding out versus Ethereum. So most of that will be true for Pulse. Like what's competing versus or trading versus Pulse and Pulse X. Like there's a lot of things, I guess, like when you consider Hart's law and when you understand liquidity, that's a huge advantage in understanding where the value ends up sort of pulling into, and it's going to be the main three assets in the ecosystem. So to me, it's just it's a no-brainer. If you haven't sacrificed yet, like to me, it's just a no-brainer. Just get the coins, and then even if you need to come back in, according to this chart here, come back in 595 days, and perhaps that's now a 1,400 to a 5,000x when you come back in basically less than 2 years time, approximately 1.4 years. So you're not going to get those gains anywhere else.
And remember, in the bear market, people want to feel good bad. So if you thought they're not going to go get their free copy, when sadly at the same time, simultaneously, some of their quote unquote things they thought were blue chip or starting to bleed, then they're going to start, exodus even faster. And yes, the gas fees are going to go down, but then again, people are wrecked. They lost their money. So the move is you invest that before you lose it all, before it becomes even more garbage. So that's got to factor that in. Timing is perfect. Product market fit, low fees. Even if Ethereum gas fee were to go down to 50 guays right now, it's still, or 30 guay, it still won't compete.
Hey, I'll be
with
right back.
0.0000001. I mean, it just won't. It's still a factor of 1,000. And the Pulse or Pulse X can go up 1,000-fold and still be cheaper gas fee than Ethereum. That's how insane it is. I need people to understand that. And you are obviously insanely wealthier too by the time that happened.
I dig it. I dig this comment too. We already know the highest of stakes will be Hex's movie. Pulse Chain's got to be something like the greatest of chains.
That's a good name. I like that, Ricky. I like
So
that. But yeah,
we've covered a lot, and we've got another 7 minutes to wrap up our 3-hour show here. What else would you guys like to comment on?
Well, let's see. Wave 3, you can go first if you want.
Sure, yeah. So I would say as a lot of you are insulated by your staking ladder, you know, it's we haven't seen a. I mean, we're seeing like a progressive move down on the Bitcoin chart, but the moment we start to see some heavy sells, once that 40K level blows out, like, man, it's gonna be a very you know what, I'm actually very excited for that to happen, just to
Me
see,
too.
you know, it's the first time we get to see basically this condition where we're entering, let's say, a bear market, and then we're basically seeing the ultimate test, basically, which I personally think Hex is going to do very well in that scenario. But it's going to be because a lot of people are going to start to pay attention, like, you know, Ethereum going from 3,100 back to 800, or maybe even drops to 600. I don't know. Like, the downside is so high.
It's a massive. I mean, I drew the chart yesterday, and then we can link it
Yeah.
up briefly before we go. I mean, just looking at it, and right now, Bitcoin, Ethereum, they're already down 1.5%. Like, you know, $650 and $50 respectfully. It's literally about to just do the puking like he has done before. It's just a matter of time. I predict, if not this week, next week, by the end of the month. I mean, and again, inflation numbers, rising rates.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a movie we have seen too many times. You know what I mean? And big money is going to be like, oh, it's a game of waiting game. It's a game of waiting. And they are masters of delayed gratification. So they can just wait until people either panic or people just get forced to sell, because if the price stop or don't want to go up after a while, people get complacent. And what do? They cash out because they got bills to pay.
Right.
And a lot of those other shit coins and bad coins have so much negative externality. Miners will continue to sell. Project.
You guys are going macro, and that's I think useful. Although the chat is asking a bunch of super like specific questions. So, is there a way to buy PLS at open before the bridge without using PLSX token? I don't think so.
No, because it will be crypto to crypto before the bridge comes in. And then the other question about sacrificing for the staker app, yes, you definitely can. It's just a send. Sending is free. You're just paying the gas fee from Ethereum side. It's literally any wallet that you have that you own the private key to or the secret recovery phrase, you can sacrifice from. Just make sure, again, if we're talking staker app, make sure you're only sending ERC20 tokens there. Very important. Not Ethereum from Binance Chain or USDC from Binance Chain. That is not ERC20. Respect that. Only Ethereum assets you can send to the staker app. It will support 3 Hex, ETH, USDC. Very important.
There's a question here about addressing PulseX not being deflationary anymore. So you're referring to the fact that Richard updated his plan in the sense that he said that it's not going to be an automatic buy and burn. And so the original design, the original game theory was an automatic buy and burn. However, and that's without admin keys. However, it turns out that the game theory on that doesn't work out as well if there's like a fork or if there's like, you know, there are some problems with that don't have a technical solution on the blockchain yet. I kind of compare it to like the bridge problem is being solved better nowadays, thanks to DevRuth and to, you know, some of the breakthroughs that have been happening. But there are some other breakthroughs that haven't happened yet in crypto. And one of them is being able to do a buy and burn without admin fees, without introducing more complexity and, you know, risk. And so,
and also no expectations.
It benefits us to be able to say that the design is that somebody can manually go in and buy and burn, and but we don't want to make it a security, so we're not going to expect anything. That's why the whole thing's a sacrifice in the first place.
Yes.
So
one more thing too, Maddie. Let's say we remove the burning feature. Very important. That's just math. It still does not, I repeat, it does not make it inflationary either. The fixed supply is just going to be the sacrifice phase set. That's it. After that, there is no more PulseX available.
Because a lot of the protocols that buy and burn also inflate.
Oh,
a lot of the protocols out there that are buying and burning are not
Yes.
deflationary to begin with. They're inflationary. And so they're
Exactly.
trying to like,
DNB was like that. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So they're
Yeah.
trying to like
So
burn
no
the
matter
supply
what,
that they're over creating instead
Exactly.
of just being, so it's a type of deflationary that is manual and that's represented by the buy and burn. And we have every reason to believe that like, that would go as planned, but we don't have expectations.
Exactly, because that's very important. Bottom line is whatever the sacrifice phase amount is turned out to be in terms of pulse or pulse X, especially pulse X, because that was the pulse X question. That number will never go higher after that day. When it's done, that's the finite supply, period. Let's say if there's no burn, but the top holders or those who are buying more of it never sell, it just becomes like kind of like the beer's analogy of the diamond. We're just removing it from supply.
Yeah.
So whether it gets burned or not, honestly, is not really relevant. It's getting removed from supply. And if there is no inflation, it will act as a deflationary action because we're slowing the velocity of the coin, of the money, because we're removing supply.
These are really good questions. So here's another one. Is the automated fixer bot the only other point of PLS inflation besides the sacrificers? Originally thought sackers were the only source of new PLS tokens. I would say that it was built into the original equation that about 2.5% of the coins that are created by the sacrificers that are minted by them would go to this fixer bot. It looks like Richard's been consistent with that number.
Yeah, consistent. Yep, that was day one. It's probably because either you knew or you didn't pay attention before, but that was already the plan from the get-go. Yeah, that's why it's a percentage and not a fixed number, because we don't know how many coins are going to end up as. But yeah, the fixer bot's going to be doing its thing. Again, that's why people shouldn't be trading, because they're going to get wrecked.
And is there like 1% of the original supply that goes to the like beginning address or whatever we're going to call it in Pulse? Isn't there like a 1% that goes to the founder or something?
Or developer or whatever the word is. But yeah, I mean, but that's yeah.
That's
again, those were same
low
thing same day one. Exactly. Yeah. People need to make sure they read everything. What else?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, these are great questions, and we'll be able to take questions, in future shows as well. So far, we've been here every Tuesday since February 2nd or something like that. So coming up on our year anniversary of the show in a couple more weeks here.
Bang bang, that's gonna be awesome. Yeah, my birthday's coming up soon too. Excited about that.
And then those that are trying to get more answers regarding the things we can't answer at this moment, go to Telegram. You have the Pulse X chat, you have Pulse Chain chat, phenomenal people there. So that's where you can get answers.
Twitter,
anything.
Yeah,
Twitter too.
Twitter live chat,
the voice stream thing.
I don't know why I would ever answer this question. We don't give out the addresses of the devs. We don't even give out the devs' names because we don't want them poached. And they deserve their privacy. Privacy turns out to be a human right. Not double spending your money is also a pretty good thing to have in a system. So we like good devs that are working for Richard. And so we, thank you for wanting to fundraise for the devs. I'm sure they're getting paid just fine. And so, you can fundraise for the SENS Foundation. You can donate at sens.org/donate. And, that'd be a great way to pump everybody's health span.
Yeah, make the devs live longer. Don't need that.
Yeah.
We need that. That's funny.
So yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for being on. It's been a blast, and we've had over 400 people watching live for much of the program and thousands on the replay. So another super successful week, and enjoyed having you guys here.
Yeah, bang bang, take wisely, and remember the cool thing I always say at the end, right? You stake, you date, and you chill. That's it. Don't overcomplicate.
And if
then
you
coming
dream,
out
you
with a
dance too.
live
when you're at
stream
it.
or spaces or whatever it might be, and help your fellow man or woman and trying to add value.
Yeah.
That's all I got for today.
Awesome. Yep. And we'll have Agent Smith take us out.
We're out.
Richard, do you think the Matrix will allow you to release crypto code that is superior to that of Bitcoin and gives decentralized financial freedom to all? What? You already released it? Oh, we better stop gatekeeping. Congrats on 100,000 Twitter subs.
All right, we got to make the thumbnail now for Twitter. So everybody do something weird.